We dissect another major political shift where ODM leader Raila Odinga signed a pact to work together with President William Ruto, aka a memorandum of understanding. We'll discuss the major points brought up and what possible impact it will have on Kenya's political future. We'll also talk about the possible impact on the outcome of the 2027 elections. We shall also break down the NADCO report and how it may impact Kenyans living in the diaspora. Is there a plan to extend President Ruto's current term to beyond 2027? That's going to be the big question for tonight. So buckle up and start typing in the comment section. And it's Friday. It's Friday the 7th of March. Namelia Envy the People's Kamkunji Inangoananga. Mimi ni Ali Badawy aka Mjukuu Masai. And this is the OneMic Show. Karibuni tena.
Now, let's talk politics.
All right, asante sana, asante sana. Wanasema karibuni tena ndani ya OneMic Show. Na ni furaha kujiunga nanyi wapenzi wasikilizaji, tukiwa tumekuandalia taarifa za kusisimua, muziki wa kata viungo na kindumbwe cha siasa au politics ukipenda. We are streaming live on Facebook from Kilimanjaro studios outside Washington, D.C. And we'll shortly be going live on YouTube. So please call all your YouTube friends. And please remember to subscribe to both our YouTube and Facebook pages. We are also on Instagram and TikTok. So go there and subscribe, comment, join, share, and everything. Now, we'll also be taking live calls. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Number again, 202-683-4570. 4570, press *5 to speak. Later tonight, we'll talk about the controversial NADCO report as it relates to Raila's and Ruto's newfound partnership. Is there a plan to postpone the 2027 elections and maybe even extend the presidential term limits to beyond 2 terms? We'll be talking about that. I want you to feel free to start dropping comments below and let us know what you think and where you are tuned in from. What city, what state, what town you're tuned in from. Na bila kusahau, tutapokea mziki toka DJ wetu machachari mleta habari DJ OmoshFaya, na tunadunda kule viwanjani na Micah jezi yake nambari 7 mgongoni akiletea habari za michezo. Moja kwa moja toka Kilimanjaro studios, ni mimi mtangazaji na mwanahabari wako mpendwa Ali Badawy. Kwetu wananiita mteule na wengine mniite mjukuu wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui, na sibagui. Karibuni. All right. I think we're going to get started right away today. And again, I am a co-host and producer Ali Badawy. And it is Friday the 7th of March. We are streaming live from Kilimanjaro studios outside Washington, D.C. So please remember to follow the OneMic Show on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Mr. OneMic is out tonight. On panel with me is super producer Mobelo Bandio. Our resident DJ OmoshFaya is on the decks. And also not forgetting that Micah will be joining us via Zoom. So I can see a lot of people already tuned in here. Slay Karibu Sana, all the way from Texas and Washeke. Thank you so much. Texas always deep in the building. I can see Steven Sambaza podcast. Yuko Karibu, yuko pale Texas pia. Karibu Sana. I can see Lloyd Osunga tuned in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hapa Sambaza anasema tuko site. Slay anasema Friday. And then Afro-Jamaican Kaiser Soze anasema Friday. Okay. All right. And then Kaiser Soze Afro-Jamaican anasema what a week, blessings all. And as you can see, Kaiser Soze has amefanya ile kitu inaitwaje highlight. So make sure you type highlight at everyone, at followers, or whatever your profile allows you to do. So many things to unpack today, and thank you so much for tuning in. Na watu wa YouTube pia, karibuni sana. We're going to be reading all your comments tonight. So please get ready. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Very, very hot conversations tonight. And we are going to get started again right away. Like you remember, Kenyans over the years have been accustomed to political handshakes. Parties have become a temporary tool to win the next election. Of course, tonight we want to dissect another major political shift. We know that ODM leader Raila Odinga signed a pact to work with President William Ruto in what's commonly referred to as a memorandum of understanding. We'll discuss the major points brought up and what possible outcome this will bring to Kenya's political future. We'll also talk about the possible impact on the outcome of the 2027 elections, if we're going to have one, and we'll break down the NADCO report. How will this impact Kenyans living in the diaspora? Is there a plan to extend President Ruto's current term to beyond 2027? Kuna watu wanasema, or even abolish term limits altogether. These are the things that we are talking about. And then Afro-Jamaican anasema nisisahau Kenyans in Canada. Yes, this also includes Kenyans in Canada.
Okay,
So thank you so much. Tell all the Kenyans in Canada to tune in. So these are the conversations that we're going to be having tonight. You know, I'm not going to say it was a bombshell revelation. It's something that has been coming, that has slowly been cooking. And I'm going to start right here in the studio with DJ OmoshFaya, who's in the building. Just give us your first impressions on the announcement that was made today. OmoshFaya.
Asante sana. Thank you, Ali. Let me see. Can I hear myself? Asante. Asante. Okay. Yeah. I sounded artificial to myself. I don't know why, but okay. Sawa. No problem.
Omosh GPT.
Okay. Well, I'll get back to you, Ali. You know, it's Ramadan. I can't get on your case until how many days do I have to go? 20.
We have until the end of this month.
Okay.
So we have a long way to go.
All right. So it's looking like 27 days. Mimi na wewe. Okay, sawa. 23 days actually, not 27, 23 days. So welcome to the show. Ali, you asked me what my first impressions were. I think I had what we would term as a soft landing, because we kind of had ramblings of something in the woodworks, and things were coming out from, I would venture to say, credible sources. So it was a secret, but it was an open secret. And I think it was just a matter of when were they going to sign this agreement, and what the context or contents of this agreement are going to be. Some may say that Baba sold out. Others may say that, well, you know, those books that are written by our authors, you know, what is it? My Life in Crime, Sijui, blah, blah, blah. The one that comes to mind is It's My Turn to Eat. You know, somebody might say that It's My Turn to Eat has now come to fruition. Or somebody else might say, well, we knew this was coming all along, because now if you go back in history, there's been handshakes or some sort of governmental involvement since with Raila, since he came out of prison after the 82 coup.
Okay, yes. That's a long time.
Pretty much. I mean, all those presidents have benefited off of his political wisdom or his savviness, if that's what you want to call it. And some folks may look at it and say, well, he's not done anything for the country. It has not been good. I still stand by the fact that that handshake, had it not come, we'd be looking at a totally different Kenya now. But anyway, and for me, it would have been a negative Kenya we'd be looking at had that handshake between Ruto and Rao not happened. To me, it also seems like at the end of the day, it's like Ruto didn't even have a plan.
What do you mean by Ruto didn't have a plan?
His plan,
it
seemingly looks like his plan had to include Rao in it. Last hivyo, he's screwed.
Now, you know, it's interesting, you know, that you see it that way. But I think this was, Ruto is a long-term politician. He had a number of cards, you know, like close to his chest.
Okay.
And he had to pull the jokers early. I think this was a joker.
So are you saying that he was overtaken by events and he had to use this card because... So, okay, let's go back.
Yeah.
And say, go back 3 weeks. Rao gets the AU Commission chair. Then which card do you pull? If you're Ruto.
So I'm going back to the Gen Z revolution, you know, because that's
okay, I get you.
That's where the genesis of this started.
All right, okay.
You know, because even that idea of Rao coming out and defending Ruto, that was a joker. You know, that he pulled out early.
No, that one was, I think that I'd even ventured to call it.
Maybe an A.
Those cards, in fact, I hate to use the name trump card because we used to play with those decks of cards for cars, and there used to be a card in there that if you removed that card, yani you have trumped everybody.
Yes.
And so we used to call it a trump card.
A trump
because
card, yeah.
that is actual English. But now we can't even use that word. So yeah, you're right. I guess so. It's a joker. It's a what is it? Is it called when you have a full deck of cards in poker or whatever? A flush, a royal flush. It's
Me, I know the Kenyan poker. Me, I don't know this poker. Poker ya sijui kucheza na chips.
Okay, so
yeah, that one I don't know.
So
Me, I know ile pick 3.
Okay, so unajua zile.
Kadi. That's the one that I know. Yeah, that's a poker that I know.
Okay, so hii ni mtu amepewa joka mbili, alafu akapewa 3 na 2 na kuna jump mbili na kickback ikarudi tena na kaongeza kadi zingine juu.
Okay.
Kwa sababu ule mse yuko next ndiye anapick.
Ndo anapick.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what this is.
Okay.
And some folks may say, oh no, not necessarily, and this is that, blah blah. But it to me, this is so now that our political earthquake has been shooken, or we've had this shake, and now things are about to start happening. Now what?
Okay. All right. Keep that thought. We're gonna come back to you. I'm gonna come to Micah, but before I go to Micah, a couple of comments were coming in on Facebook. I can see Esther Molusa today is on, or rather on YouTube. Esther Molusa today is on YouTube. She says, all the way in the dirty South, Greensboro, North Carolina. Karibu sana, Esther. And then Mairimu End says, salamu kutoka Kosti ya Magharibi ya Marekani. Kosti ya Magharibi.
Yes.
I think hapo anamaanisha pwani ya Magharibi. Okay, haya, sawa. Kosti. Okay, a new word.
Tunaita kutohoa.
Kutohoa. Inaitwa utohozi hiyo hapo.
So is that Florida?
Coast ya Magharibi. West Coast.
Arizona,
Okay.
California.
Yeah.
Right.
Florida ni kusini.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Magharibi is what?
Magharibi is west.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm helping Slay. She knows I'm helping her.
Okay.
She knows that I'm helping her.
Okay.
She may
thank
not
you on her behalf.
She may not acknowledge, but she knows I'm helping her.
All right. And then hapa Wairimo N pia anasema Ali and all Ramadan Mubarak. Asante sana Wairimo N. Ramadan Kareem. Thank you so much. And then hapa Pan-African anasema Ruto seems kind of stressed. And funny thing, the crowd at KCC yelling Wongo while WSR spoke. So very interesting point. Pan-African, tell us more about that, because I did not watch the crowd, but I just watched the speeches, all the speeches by the people who spoke there.
I never watched. I actually have fatigue.
No, I actually did watch.
You know that voters fatigue that we had.
Yes.
It's like
it's kicking in again.
This campaign has never ended.
It's never ended. And then Afro-Jamaican is telling us about Kenyan-Canadian Association. Afro-Jamaican, tell us more about the Kenyan-Canadian Association in Tanzania.
Afro-Jamaican, I thought he had he's come back to being a Kenyan. I'm just asking for a friend, because at one point he had said he was a...
We'll get to
Equatorial Guinea. Is that where he said he was from?
Yes,
we will. Still Afro, so Afro Jamaica. He wasn't Kenyan Jamaica. It was
no.
Jamaica.
As far we had already claimed him. We had even given him goats, a couple of cows here, and there were sheep that were coming. You know, the ones that were taken from somebody's farm. The ones that were going to be sold.
Mbona unasoma maoni ya OneMic? Sijui iko kosti ya wapi.
Sawa. Wacha nione OneMic, mbona sijaona comment yake hapa. OneMic anasemaje?
OneMic anasema tuko ndani kama sim card.
Yuko wapi? Yuko YouTube.
He's inside a phone.
Okay,
he's inside a phone.
Okay.
and he's a SIM card in the phone.
And then up from Texas, Sambaza says, what happened to the people from Northeastern who shifted camp? I don't know. I think maybe they might still be there.
They're coming. After they get their IDs, they'll be fine.
Okay. And then Stephen JJ nauliza kwani time ili change. I don't know exactly. I think Stephen JJ is living in a different time zone in his mind.
Maybe he's asking about the time change tonight.
Time change.
Sorry, not tonight. Tomorrow
night.
Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah, after 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Saturday,
which
Sunday.
we won't have 2 a.m. There'll be no 2 a.m. on Sunday. Check with Micah.
Sawa. Let's go to Micah.
1 a.m.
Yeah, let's go to Micah and let's get Micah's first impressions on this announcement that has now been formalized. It has been an open secret, but it has now been formalized. Micah, twende kazi.
Shikamoo. Habari zenu.
Marhaba.
Anyway, ngoja kwanza Ali Mubarak Yeah.
Eid Mubarak.
Susi Idi.
My goodness.
Saumu makbul. Ng'ang'ana na pole kwa Saumu.
Asante sana. Wewe uko ahead. You are ahead of the time.
He was already on Eid.
He was already on
Hapana,
Eid.
ni huyu jamaa ndo ameniharibia hapa mnini yangu, ameharibu Kiswahili, anasema sijui magharibi ni sauti pia. Kila akanitupa hata
No, but surely, how am I getting attacked after somebody doesn't know the difference between Eid and Ramadan? Even me, I know.
wewe heri Eid na Ramadan unaweza confuse, zote ni takatifu. Wewe una confuse direction. Angalia.
Micah.
Wow.
Unaanza at 100 miles per hour.
He has come, he's firing not even from his hip. The
No,
gun is straight.
but anyway, going back to this whole handshake, MOU, whatever it is. I know Moshe amejaribu kupaka baba hapo sabuni akamwoshe, but still
With power form.
Yeah,
let's
you have
be
to-
honest.
you have to
It's all these are selfish moves. All these are social moves. In fact, in a point whereby, as much as they want to say that they want to come back and say that they're going to ask the implementation of the NADCO agreement, and remember the NADCO agreement was basically going to audit the election results, which I don't know how that audit is going to be audited right now if both of them are in the government. Right? So how do you hold up? How do you audit a firm? You say the accountant is stealing, then you go and join him and you become his deputy accountant, and then you want to audit. That audit is not going to be done in the right way. Implementation of IEBC
Yes,
puts a lot of them on the block of recalls.
correct.
That is both ODM and UDA, which I don't see them doing it any sooner. Even if they do it, it's going to be all in all. Instead of trying to, we're going to break down the NADCO report to Koleta. All I'm trying to say is this: I do not believe in a way of whereby, yes, I understand when people were protesting the finance bill, the rift between Ruto and Gachagua is when it was exposed, and that is where maybe Ruto would have had some of his powers clipped. And this was an argument between two thieves. They just didn't agree on how to steal. Now they were fighting.
Was it how to steal?
And now
or the
Baba
amount
went
to
and
steal?
became a ref in between the two thieves, so that to save this one of them from kicking out the other from the pot. And now the one that is saved kicked the one that was causing issues later on. So when we say that there was a coup that was going to happen in that case, there was no coup that was going to happen. The only thing that could have led, based on the constitution, we would have gone for another election. The only thing that Baba helped was help keep Ruto in power again.
Now, we are in very interesting times.
Sure.
One thing that is clear before we go into the details of what the memorandum was about and what was in the NADCO report, something that's very clear. The hardcore ODM coalition that has been there, and when I mean the hardcore coalition, these are people who've been there from, like year in, year out.
From 2005.
From 2005, when we had that first referendum. Banana Orange.
2000, was it? Yeah.
It was 2005, the Banana Orange referendum, which is exactly 20 years.
Yeah.
That coalition, and here I'm speaking as someone who was part of that. That coalition has cracked. And the faster Baba realizes it, the better it will be for him. When I say the core group, there's always been another group that has been coming in and going out in every election, but there's been a consistent core group that has always been there. Now, the danger that I am announcing today is that core group has cracked. Of course, Baba will still maintain a semblance of support in Luo Nyanza, but even within Luo Nyanza, you can already see some fatigue and some exhaustion with what's happening. Right now, it's a bit difficult to tell. I think the moment when we'll start having a crystal clear picture where things are heading is once IBC is put together and once these pending by-elections go into effect. In fact, there was that member of parliament from, was he from Trans Nzoia, the one who passed away recently. I don't remember exactly what county he's from, but these are the by-elections that are gonna reveal peupe na peusi, mbivu na mbichi. This is where people are gonna know, because until now, all that's there is hubris of we have the numbers, we have the people, our principals have signed an agreement, but people still don't know where the political temperature is. The other thing that I'm announcing today, unofficially, is that this is where the Gen Z revolution has kind of been, its effect has kind of been muted. And I'm saying this from a very somber place. I'm saying this from a very somber place. This now officially, it's gone. And the reason I say that is because you've seen the personalities who were the faces of that that revolution, of that movement. Some of them, but some major ones, they've already, like aligned themselves with political formations. Samuel Makore has gone to ODM. We saw Morara Kebaso has gone to the Gachagua side. He has his own party, but he's gone to the Gachagua side. He was even taking pictures with him, and was also
Morara?
Morara Kebaso.
Your friend.
Yes, your friend.
His own party.
Remember, he has to inject.
Yes,
Okay.
he's already had a handshake.
They're going to make a coalition.
So one with Martha Karua, and then
Karua?
also with Gachagua.
Okay.
Yeah, because Gachagua is forming a party in the next week. In the next week or two, Gachagua is going to form a party, and that party is going to be funded by Uhuru. It's Gachagua and Uhuru who are going to be the main leaders of that party.
Okay.
Inaitwaje ile chama ya Uhuru hii ya juzi, the one that is Uhuru's, what's the name of Uhuru's party?
Jubilee.
No.
Jubilee.
Jubilee.
Jubilee is going to be taken. Yeah, Jubilee is going to be put to be made irrelevant. So basically, people are strategically placing themselves to form coalitions, and those coalitions, as Alia said, they're going to come out in these elections right now. The elections that are coming in. Ali.
Okay, asante sana Micah. Let's go to super producer Mubelwa Bandio, who's been following things happening in Kenya. Things moving thick and fast.
Has been following the presidential elections in uko pwani ya magharibi, uko Bongo.
Okay. Wait, Bongo iko na pwani ya magharibi. Let's start from there.
No.
Okay, sawa. I was just taking to confirm.
Hakuna nini simkona Lake Victoria.
Yeah, haina pwani magharibi.
Lakini si pwani.
That's northwest, right? Yeah, si pwani,
yeah,
si
but
coast, but at least it's a beach.
Yeah. Kwa hivyo in fact hata Bongo we don't even talk about pwani ya mashariki, because pwani ni hiyo moja tu ya mashariki.
Yes.
Kwa hivyo ni pwani. Anyway, Bandio, like from the other side, umekuwa ukitizama, like what's been happening in Kenya na nini, and this year is an election year in Tanzania. We were discussing before the show.
Who knew? Because in Kenya is where we have elections right
any
now.
neutral observer would think that this is an election year in Kenya, but kina Bandio in Tanzania, they're having an election this year.
They're very organized. I mean, you either wear green and yellow or green and yellow.
Yeah, I don't know about being organized.
I don't know about being organized. Yeah, but Bandio, from where you sit, what's, like you've been following this Kenyan politics with us for a very long time from the outside. Does this surprise you, ama ni kitu ya kawaida sasa umekuja kuona na siasa ya Kenya ukilinganisha na Tanzania?
No, it doesn't surprise me at all. You know, I think Kenyans love politics. They play a lot of politics. And I these political parties, I don't even know how many. I tend to see the coalitions, and this person is joining with this person, But I think the way these politicians are playing with people's mind, especially in Kenya, it's sad, And I wonder what it will take for them to fix the issue. But it's a lot of let's move from here to another. It's just like from another monster to another. One monster dies, another
Musical
one comes alive.
Chairs, chessboards,
which is bad. I cannot imagine. I don't know. I don't hear vision. I don't hear somebody say, this is what I felt. You hear them just triggering emotions and stuff just to get the votes.
Kabisa.
And that's what I've been hearing for years. It's like, let's do this, let's unite. Let's take this person out. I follow Gachagua, hizo speech zake. Lakini kama your number one goal ni kumtoa rais.
Yes.
And all this time nimekusikia unasema unataka kumtoa rais, and you haven't mentioned one thing you want to do to replace him with. I'm one of those people who believe when you pray, you better be, ready to receive whatever is coming out of that prayer, right? And don't say this is bad if you don't have another alternative. So, ni kwamba tutatoa raisi, which sina shida. But then replace with what? So that's why we are where we are right now with politics ya nchi zetu. Unamuondoa mmoja, you trigger emotions, na mfano mzuri sasa hivi ni Marekani. Waliondoa watu could drive to emotions. I'd rather do this, hasira asara, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Na nakwambia kwamba, hasira zinaondoa busara.
Trump will make eggs cheaper.
Yes.
Yeah.
And here where we are. Lakini siasa za Kenya unfortunately zimekuwa sana kwenye hisia kuliko uhalisia.
Kabisa.
Zimekuwa sana kwenye kutengana ama kukusanyana makundi madogo kuliko kitu kikubwa, and to me that's pretty sad.
Here's the interesting thing. Nikitizama siasa ya Tanzania, there always used to be this comparison that Tanzania imekuwa na chama kimoja tangu uhuru, and there's this thing that Kenyans have always had, that we are better off because we have many parties and we've had different we've had paired leaders from different political parties. But when you look at the grander scheme of things, Sasa, now with the benefit of hindsight, I think we had one amazing multi-party election when, like in 2002 when Kibaki won. But besides that,
the unblockable one.
Yeah, the unblockable one. Besides that, we've been experiencing L's in all elections.
At least year 2002 was the beginning of coalitions, and that election, like that election period, not just the voting, but from campaigning to that. That was the beginning of handshakes.
Yes, actually, the first handshake was between Raila and Moi. That was the first handshake that led to so many other handshakes after that. Until
because even when Raila ditched Moi, he went and did a handshake with Kibaki and created. What was the name? NAC.
Yeah, and created NAC, National Alliance Rainbow Coalition.
And where is it?
Hizo zilipotea.
NACO swallowed up.
No, zilipotea hizo.
It was an agreement, right?
NAC sasa walishinda kura. Vile walishinda kura wakafanya kazi
walifika hata miaka miwili. I don't think they even got to 2 years.
By year 1 they were fighting. By year 2 they broke up when it came to the adopting a new constitution.
Yes.
So we had to go to a referendum, and hapo sasa ndo ODM ikazaliwa.
Yeah.
So ODM ikachukua KANU alafu huyu akatengeneza PNU. So PNU is what later morphed into Jubilee. Kibaki. That's what later morphed into Jubilee, but ODM.
No, but Jubilee umeenda mbali. Kumbuka kulikuwa na TNA.
PNU ili morph into TNA.
Kulikuwa na TNA. Alafu kumbuka hata kabla ya UDA kulikuwa na URP. There was a party called URP.
Yes, UDA was.
Yeah, because TNA merged with URP to form Jubilee. TNA ilikuwa ya Uhuru. The National Alliance.
Okay.
Ilikuwa ni Uhuru, alafu URP ilikuwa ni ya Ruto.
Yule light skin wa Musumba, what was his name?
Light skin yupi huyo hapo?
Peter Kenneth.
Oh, Peter Kenneth.
He had a party.
Peter Kenneth, hiyo party yake ilikuwa inaitwaje?
Party yake was part of
Eagle, ilikuwa inaitwa Eagle Alliance. It was Eagle Alliance? It was followed by Jubilee.
It was followed by Jubilee, it was followed by TNA. Jubilee, yes. Jubilee.
Yeah, it was swallowed. Because yeye pamoja na Raphael Tuju, because Tuju, I think Tuju pia alikuwa na party yake, and then they got together. Raphael Tuju na Peter Kenneth. But it did not quite work. And then of course kuna other smaller parties like kina Alfred Mutua, Maendeleo chap.
Ngoja niulize. Unafikiri new constitution ndio imeleta hizi shida? Unafikiri ilikuwa ni mwanya, ni kosa, ni something that was missed kwenye new constitution? Because
so hizi shida bandio zimekuja kabla ya new constitution, kwa sababu new constitution ni 2010.
Okay.
Hizi problems zimeanza kutoka 2003.
Right.
Yeah. Kwa hivyo new constitution is not
maybe
the
I
problem.
could fix them.
So
actually the new constitution imwazuia kufanya vitu mingi sana.
Okay.
Yeah, tukikuwa na ile katiba ya kitambo. Tukikuwa tumerudi one party state kitambo sana. So new constitution has really held them, and that is why unaona saa hii wanajaribu kukuwa na numbers, watry kupush referendums and trying to put to make changes on the constitution. The good thing is even the new constitution has a clear clause over there. If you need to change anything here, it needs to go to the vote for the people.
Kuna Gerald Oliechuk anasoma, anaweka maoni.
Yeah. Gerald anasema, how many Kenyans even understand what the impact of everything since former DP to AU elections to this handshake is costing Kenyans. And then anasema Rao to Moi to Kibaki to K to now Ruto. And then anasema PK party was Kenya National Congress. Kenya National Congress was the name.
KNC.
Yeah,
TNAs.
yes,
KNC
was the name of the party. Alafu hapa YouTube pia let me see, there was Pan-African anasema the crowd at KCC definitely started yelling Mwongo every time Ruto finished a sentence. After some point midway in his speech he said tutatekeleza mipango ya ambayo itapatia vijana ajira. And then his father says Uhuru's TNA was run by Akina Sakaja and other very young guys. One a medical doctor, Boniface Chitai. Yeah, and now you're seeing now these people are the ones who are now governors, Kina Sakaja, and that's why we're having all these problems we do. You tuned into the OneMic show. The number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, and put your comment down there. Also, let us know where you're tuned in from. We have quite a number of things we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be going through the NADCO report because the NADCO report was mentioned in that memorandum. A lot of people are asking, NADCO ni nani? What is NADCO? Who is NADCO? Huyu NADCO amefanya nini?
Demo fulani hapo matata.
Yes, so we'll be reviewing what's in that NADCO report, kama tuone kama ni vile Micah anasema, or if there's some other details there that we need to know about the NADCO report. But going back to the memorandum of understanding, it was a 10-point MOU that at a very top level said that it will ease political tensions, foster national unity, and addressed Kenya's most pressing social and political changes. In summary, kizungu mingi, and that means absolutely nothing.
Ya kwanza ni
yes.
Do what?
So inasema
kizungu mingi kama moja.
It means nothing. Inasema
Surely,
it will
Micah.
ease political tensions.
How?
Foster national unity and address Kenya's most pressing social and political challenges.
Yes.
At the very surface level, that's what this memorandum is supposed to be bringing.
Interesting, it is not addressed. So social challenges considered financial.
So let's go to some of the details of what it's supposed to do. They of course talk about the full implementation of the NADCO report, which we're going to go over. And then they talk about inclusivity in budgetary allocations and appointments. Whatever that means.
For who?
That's a big question.
Or for the two people in the party.
That's a big question.
Not the NADCO. Well, NADCO was for the party. Okay, got
so
it.
the other issue that was also there in the on that memorandum of understanding is protect devolution from who? That's a question. And then
should it have been protect or make sure or implement devolution?
They said protect devolution. So
Okay.
Protect because there was I think one of the things that Gachagua has been making noise about, and also one of the things that ODM was making noise about, was that funding to counties that were not friendly to the president were not getting all the funds they needed.
It was being held back. There was a go slow.
Yeah.
Okay. Understood.
yeah, and then the national government would sometimes, like give the money, like when they want, whenever it's due, wanaweza kungoja mpaka 3 months. And again, number to call 202-683-4570. 4570. Press star 5 to speak. We're talking about the memorandum of understanding between President Ruto and Raila Odinga. And I think we have an early caller. I love these early callers.
Yes. And
yeah.
number
Ali Bad catches the
1253.
one.
Hello, hello.
Please tell us where you're calling from and your name.
Hey, this is Gerald Oviech calling from Texas.
Man, Texas in the building. I love early callers because people normally wait until it's due for what? Gerald, what part of Texas are you calling from?
Houston.
Okay, talk to us. What are people in Houston saying, or what are you saying what do you feel from Houston regarding the events that happened today? Gerald.
Me, personally, I'm not shocked, I'm not disappointed, because realistically, everything we're watching is so either premeditated or predictable. Tell me what is new that they mentioned in that MOU they're talking about. Punguza ujinga, punguza, I don't know, poverty, sickness. The devolution, we're going to continue talking about it year in, year out, year in government, year in new government and stuff. So what can we really pinpoint there and say that these two leaders are literally coalitioning to do what? But, I mean, like right now, I really don't see what they put to the table that is literally fresh off the bakery, that when we slice this bread, it's still hot and it's going to give us slices. There's nothing new they've said to us. There's, even if you look at the Ruto's speech, the moment he stopped praising Raila and started about inclusivity of finances, corruption, devolution, and health and all that. So where is the money? I mean, the corruption has been there. We know it has been there. There's nothing new that we're doing or they're bringing to us that's going to help us. Number two, I would say, I think we need to go back and realize that our constitution is so defunct with too many loopholes for these leaders to manipulate us. Because like right now, I may sound really pessimistic, but what is in our constitution that really upholds this handshake they have? Because that's going to create a supplementary budget that our country doesn't have to support whatever coalition this is, which I really don't know what it is. Where is the money coming from? As it is, just in the next 3 months, just look at what the GDP is going to be in Kenya, out of them walking out of that failed AU campaign plot. Where did that money come from? It was supplementary budget that was supposed to go to other things and projects into the country, but it went out of the country, supporting these MPs running around and everything. It failed. Now we're back home in a coalition. As in, I keep on wondering, why are Kenyans not seeing how we're going to be defunct in the next couple of years? From Gachagwa's ousting, that costed us, but we still don't see it. To now all this rhetoric and the coalition and having ODM people into the government, that is still costing us. Now this failed for AU thing is costing us. And this coalition is really going to cost us. So, and we're losing funding internationally because of our corruption, our abductions and stuff. And we want to bring in new leaders to help this country grow in a failed constitution that we now don't even run for referendum. I mean, not referendum, amendment in that constitution, which was supposed to be ODM's main thing. Have that constitution amended so that we can literally curb everything that is in our country down. But we're still using the same old paper that has enough loopholes for all these parliamentarians and our leaders to do what they're doing. Lastly, again, you guys know me. I'm the one who comes with a helmet saying, why are we still trying to work with IEBC, what we want to do in our country to bring in reform and change? Like right now, under this current coalition there is, by the time it comes to the point to have, what do you call it, the steering committee to start pushing, obviously, for the funding, the heads, the leader, the heads and the management for IBC. Who's going to do that with no opposition there is in the country? Who's going to do that? So again, things are going to be rushed last minute, that we have to do this because we are there now. And then again, we get into the same rhetoric and everything. For me, I don't see what people were happy about. There's nothing new that is in that MOU. Please just look at from 2023 to now, tell me what in that MOU that is different, and I stand to be corrected. And with that remarks, again, I say there's nothing we're talking about on those MOUs and stuff. My opinion.
You're listening to the OneMic Show, live from Kilimanjaro's studio.
All right, asante sana, Gerald. You know, some very deep talking points. Before you go, I'm going to give you 1 quick minute just to tell us, so many people are angry, understandably so. Just within 1 minute, what can we do outside these traditional formations? Because we're also here complaining, but we are not necessarily organizing. What would you like to see from outside those coalitions as we approach 2027? Gerald, 1 minute.
I've said this enough times on the show. Can we stop being academic with our politics? As in, we try and run politics like it's literally taught in campus. We don't have academic politics in Kenya. As in, our politics in Kenya is just narcissistic, sorry to say, corruptive, pessimistic, and all this nepotism and everything. So look at even what is happening right now. There's nothing new that these guys are doing that's going to help the country other than themselves. And to, like, in my opinion right now, the president has just taken his enemy, put him close to him, whereby, so the enemy be happy, be funded, and your peeps are there in the government doing everything. So come elections, we're going to start saying that who signed up for the money to run AU? Who's running the money right now in Kenya? So it's going to be a political story about it was them who was running the money. It was them who issued the money. Yet the leaders are the ones who told their people to go do what they're doing. Number two, can we come to a place and realize if America, for the many years it has been established as a nation to what it is now, how many amendments do they have in their constitution that is so quote-unquote perfect that we are feeding off it? Why are we having issues not amending what is not right in our constitution to curb all this misuse, abuse, corruption, and everything? And I feel, in my opinion, that is the one loophole that they do not want covered, because once the constitution goes amended, there are so many things they will not be able to. In my opinion, let's rally up a 1 million man march and supersede the 1 million man march and go to 3 million march, whereby it doesn't matter whether they change the constitution or not. Even the international bodies will realize you guys had a 3 million man march fighting and arguing and supporting change of and amendments of your constitution, and you guys are not doing it. You know that that's what will do to Kenya, trade-wise, international-wise. So I think those are the things we should do to help our country steer forward and be a better place.
Jared, before you leave, Bandio asked a very genuine question on what you just said. We march, we push out Ruto. What next? Who's going to take? There's going to be a vacuum of power.
Push off Ruto. We don't march to push off Ruto. We march for an amendment made to the changes of the constitution.
Okay.
What amendments?
We need to deal with the paper first before we deal with the politicians. The problem is we keep on running to deal with the politicians, and the paper we have is going to support all the negative things they are doing.
Okay.
But then, what amendments would you recommend to be made in that constitution?
First of all, even look at our spending culture. It's not as according to the constitution. Look at the spending culture the country is running in. It's not anywhere in that constitution. So if we can curb things like the spending, if we can curb accountability, whereby, and real accountability, whereby it doesn't matter if you're a leader or not, if you're charged, you're charged. You step down, go and deal accountably. If you're found not guilty, come back. If you are, go to jail, do your time. Let them even spend money to build prisons, real prisons, that can house quote-unquote machiniers instead of them going to, what do you call it?
But you do know, just like this country, just like this country here, right? There is no laws that curb on spending or anything. And even if you're prosecuted, and we are seeing it in America, we are seeing judges who are put in courts to push away certain cases that are against the Constitution. We are seeing illegality happening from the highest office in the country on some stuff that are being implemented. It's the same thing with Kenya. If you're corrupt, you're corrupt.
But it's measured.
How the Constitution is.
No,
so we can
let's be real.
do a referendum.
There's no country will curb corruption. There's no country that will curb corruption. but it can be mitigated in a point whereby the country still runs and the country still benefits. Our country is running. We're one of the few countries in the world. We're one of the few countries in the world that has got 5 porous borders. And look at the kind of debt we are in while we're still borrowing.
So
Okay.
is that more of a morality thing than a constitutional thing? Because I think at this point is us looking for leaders who are morally correct.
Okay, sawa. So I think this discussion.
You get leaders who are morally correct,
yeah.
but the paper will not support morality. You see, like, let me give an example where we are right now. The morality of this country, starting from the Amish, coming to the Indians, coming to even you, superseded the quote unquote the previous government. So it doesn't matter how the current president is morally right or not, but he has a moral fiber in him to know there's some things we cannot allow to run. That's what I'm talking about. This is a clear example. Doesn't mean that he's an angel.
Sawa, Gerald, asante sana. You know, like we appreciate you calling early on, and yeah, you know, like some very deep sentiments there. Coming from Gerald. Asante sana, salimia sana watu Houston. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. Slay, we wanna hear your voice.
Absolutely.
Stephen JJ, we wanna hear your voice.
Oh, yeah.
Sambaza, we wanna hear your voice. Washeke, wanna hear your voice.
What's
Let
the
us
number
know what
they're
you
supposed
think.
to call again?
202-683-4570. Press star 5 to speak. I'm gonna say one thing real quick before I read the comments here. And this answer, you know, like I will not pretend to know the answers.
You are the last party in the.
But I'm looking for answers from Kenyans. Maybe I have, you know, like a slight idea. How do we organize politically outside these major parties that now clearly majority of Kenyans do not like? That is a big question.
What are major parties? I see more of coalitions than parties.
So those major coalitions, you know, like everybody right now in Kenya, everybody is angry. Remember even when Sifuna came here, alisema watu wamekasirika Kenya. Everyone is angry. So at the moment, everyone, you know, like most people are angry at these major coalitions. But then the problem is that they are the only ones who are organizing politically in the long term. Because you have the two major coalitions now, the two major political parties, that is UDA and ODM, have come together. Of course, Gachagwa's wing of UDA, they have ejected, and now they're organizing. They're organizing with Martha Karua. They might be organizing with Uhuru Kenyatta. So you can see that organization. So we constantly, in every new election, we see these candidates popping up, but they always pop up in the last minute. There's no long-term political organization. Once mtu lose election, like when Peter Kenneth lost, that was it. You know, like hii kitu kama angeendelea kuijenga pole, maybe he would be somewhere right now where he would be able to challenge. Ndo nasema it takes time because all these other remember when Raila started back in after babake afariki, because Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Kenya's founding vice president, passed away in I think ilikuwa ni 93 ama 94, sometime around there. And then alikuwa ndo mwenyekiti wa Ford Kenya. So there was there was a fight on who will take leadership, and that's when Raila ended up exiting Ford Kenya and formed his own party. So akaanza kujijenga pole from that time. The problem tuko nao Kenya, Bandio, is nobody wants to do, you know, like to start a political movement and make it sustainable. Meaning start slow, get your few votes, and, you know, like by starting a political movement, you don't even have to run for president. You can start a movement, sponsor, you know, like civic seats, MCAs, members of parliament. Mjijenge pole. You don't have to start with a president.
Yeah, I mean, come on, chicken and egg.
Because
I mean, the audience is just it's very. I don't know how to say. You know, the people in Kenya. Let me ask you this: where do you think there is a big problem? If you're
Kenya wanapenda kiki.
Yes, And that's
What
the
is the
problem.
newest shiny thing out
So
there?
how are you going to get 6 people, 6 members of parliament, kama watu then are going to vote for it? Because sababu, you really talk about real issues, and we have this even in TZ. If you go there and say, hey, let's work together, tutajenga shule mbili, mwingine anakuja nasema, don't worry, vote for me, hautolipa kila kitu, tutajenga shule 5, and guess where they're going to go for?
But you see, we already have an example in Kenya of someone who's trying to build something that's working. But of
now
course,
you're talking about Raila?
no, I'm not talking about Raila.
Okay.
I'm talking about someone like Okia Omtata. And now you see Okia Omtata from wherever he started. You know, in fact, where Okia started was outside elective politics. And even when he got into elective politics, he was told he was going to lose because he's not being sponsored by one of the major coalitions. And he won in a county that was an ODM stronghold. And he won, from the outside. So if we can have such people, and I think Okia had already started. I'm just not sure how far, his movement has gone, because we are constantly complaining.
That's my thing.
But we are not organizing. Even within our own spaces here, we are not organizing. Tunangoja kupangwa. Even here in the diaspora, watu wanangoja kuona vile hizo coalitions zitaenda, so that they ndo ajue ni nani watam ni nani watam support or who they'll vote for. And then I think the other problem is that there's a lot of selling of fear, the fear of the other, especially on a tribal basis. Unfortunately, there's fear that's sold of the other, so it sustains this system that we have today. Now, a couple of comments here coming when while Gerald was speaking to us. Sambaza anasema, by the way, they said they're going to popularize the idea of this memorandum of understanding around the country. At whose cost? Question that he's asking. And then Slea anasema, these West African countries are setting the bar high. Burkina Faso, and I forget the other one, I think Niger. These are the Sahel countries. And then Washeke anasema, the bandits consolidated power so they can continue eating. Number to call 202-683-4570, press star 5. And then hapa Steven JJ anasema, wacha warudishe pesa hiyo wameiba back into the economy. Steto imekuwa kubwa juu ya ile wizi walifanya kitambo. Hakuna hapa kusifu mwizi juu aliba kitambo. And then Washeke anasema, Kenyan politicians are landlords in Dubai of high-end properties with your money. And then I can also see Stephen JJ again anasema, the money is being pumped back into the country right now to pass the narrative yao. Slay says Kenya is a joke. Stephen JJ anasema, eventually this will equalize. One side has been seeing this nonsense going on while the other side is suffering. We have had no election since 2002. Politicians are out there for power. The local Raia is waiting for scraps. And then Sambaza father says, the problem is that politics is very expensive. Yeah. If it was made to be one that is kept and the finances were kept to a minimum, like in the European countries, then they would be at least the people who truly want to lead, but otherwise we only have jokers and lawyers who want to be in the government, and that's what we get right now as a result. Yeah,
kwa sababu kama ungekuwa na public funding ambayo inakuwa limited to a certain point, and I think this is why even election Amerikani imeharibika. Kusingekuwa na mambo kwamba as long as the corporate, then you can spend as much as you can.
Super PACs.
So Citizens United is what destroyed like elections in America, because before that there were limits yes. to how much you could get.
Yep.
But unakumbuka the famous quote Mitt Romney saying corporations are people. Sasa hapo ndo because it became free speech. Sasa tuseme kama mimi Ali Badawy am running, and then we Mubelo Bandio unafanya campaign yako kando na campaign yangu, we uja to contact, but you're running your PAC independently, so that's considered speech. So here you can spend in an unlimited amount, which is a problem. And
but
then
like in Germany, walikuwa nasema when Elon Musk wanted to buy election or something, he was not allowed to contribute more than $50 or something, right? And that's the reason hakuweza kuinject money kwa sababu yuko limited to how much you can
Yeah,
protect.
na hapa amecontribute more than 250 million
Yep.
kwa election ya Trump. And then hapa Sambaza tena anasema Mandago already told us not to stress on politics. And then Doreen anasema the speed at which Rao has moved after his failed AU bid makes you wonder if he had already been it had already been planned out. You know, who knows?
But that will have to happen, because the thing is this. What people don't understand is that there is a power struggle in that parliament in Kenya, right? There is a power struggle of Gachagua and his folks, which is backed by Kina Uhuru. Then there's a power struggle of Ruto and his folks, and that is where you see Ruto pandering in different areas, trying to talk to different communities to push to bring them to him. And then there's ODM in itself as a threat, as it is. So Ruto knew that he had, these guys were not in good terms, and you saw immediately Raila came, kulikuwa na kelele, ODM were talking boldly about some stuff. And then they went to Mombasa and they sat down and they had a conversation. And I think this is where Ruto told him, you know what, boss, I'm going to give you a few more seats in the government. I'm going to give you A, B, C, D. I'm going to give you this and this. So this marriage that people look at it, below Bandio amesema, to emotions to over sensational. These guys have not formed a coalition government in any way. They've signed an MOU. They're going to get people into it. It's going to be a thing of, basically, Raila has Ruto by the proverbial balls. Ruto knows to survive in power, he needs Raila. So he's going to sing to every tune that Raila sings.
So let me ask this.
But I assure you, by 2027, Kivumbi.
Neulize, what does Raila na Ruto have in common, and also Gachagua na Kenya na Uhuru?
All of them want power.
All of them want power, but the one thing that I'll say, all of them are also different people.
I know, but I mean, angalia Raila na during campaign imeisha how many years? Angalia Ruto
Sasa,
na Raila na Ruto walivyokuwa. Okay? Angalia Gachagua na Uhuru walivyokuwa. Kumbuka walivyokuwa wanasemana kipindi kile, kwa sababu Uhuru alikuwa anaonekana anamsaidia Raila and all this stuff. Wamemend lini? Wamekuja na nini cha kusema kwamba yes, tulizungumza haya, but this is our vision, this is where we want to take Kenya, you know. Wanazungumza tu kwamba hawa walisema wanataka hiki na sisi tulisema tunataka hiki, you know, and it's all lie. Kwa sababu if that was the case, then kwa nini usikae na Gachagua ambaye alikuwa ameshazungumza mambo?
So the common trend we can fairly agree wote ni waongo. You know, like they have no problem with working with someone who walikuwa namkashifu the day before. They have no problem with that.
Goal,
the one thing that we do not know about Raila, we just saw a glimpse of it when he was in a coalition with Kibaki, is that we don't know, you know, like how it will be if he becomes president. If he ever becomes president, we don't know that. That's an unknown. And the reason I say this is because there's a lot of things that people said about Kibaki.
But I don't think you want to become a president, because that would mean you have to wait for Ruto's second term. Ambayo at that point, sijui kama atakuwa.
So now another thing, one thing with Kenyan politics, Bandio, is that we don't know whether even this coalition will last until the 27. Wanaweza kosana next year.
So you think goal ya Ruto ni nini? Ni kumaliza first term au kupata second term?
Not even kumaliza first term, survival. Huyu jamaa alikuwa ameisha. Ni survival today.
Unaona wale jamaa wa Rigiji au MPs wa Rigiji, because ODM ndo alikuwa na majority parliament. Ruto bought MPs. He bought a lot of MPs.
Azimio had the majority.
Yes, Azimio had the majority. Yeah, Ruto bought a lot of MPs. So that shift with Gachagua, if those Gachagua numbers moved to work with Raila, Ruto was done. And Ruto knows that. And that is why you see when Gachagua is trying to woo Raila. When Raila lost the AU elections, Gachagua alisifu Raila, unga kubali ndio alikuwa na mtusi, akisema amemwekea mitego atakumfanyia nini. He tried to woo him properly. So the thing is here, Raila knows right now Raila knows that he's the perfect matchmaker for all of them.
So now 2025, if things go the way Ruto and Raila want, we might see a referendum later this year.
Ngoja niulize hapa. Na sio swali langu. Doreen anauliza, do you think Kindiki will be Ruto's running mate in 2027?
Absolutely not.
Never ever.
Absolutely
That
not.
guy will be dropped like
He's
a hot
just
potato.
a space holder. He's just a
Now
space
make a
holder.
challenge.
right now.
And he
Yeah.
knows
Yeah.
exactly where he is.
Steve,
Bandio,
Doreen,
Bandio.
Slay.
It's your time.
Yes.
It's calling
Bandio.
time.
Call.
Let's hear from you, listeners.
All right. Tuambiwa piga.
Bandio,
Sawa.
unaona wale ministers wa Raila
Yes.
wenye wako kwa government side, Joho, Oparanya, Wandai. Those are the three people who, between the three of them is where
Those are the people
but-
who have political clout.
And Mbadi.
Yeah.
and Mbadi.
Yeah.
But two Mbadi, Wandai, Joho and Oparanya is where ODM is looking for its next presidential candidate. So they were given a chance to work as ministers. What one of them find?
Kindiki,
I think it backfired. It's not working for them. But then between kwa hao watatu wanaweza tuwa running mate hapo. If they work together, running mate anaweza kuwa nani? Anaweza kuwa anybody from ODM if they stick together. If they don't stick together, don't be surprised if Ruto leans to somebody from running mate to Northeastern.
Yes.
Or just or running
Yes.
mate from Northeastern or a running mate from somewhere different. But the thing is, the goal here is, and I think this is a mistake, but hiyo party ya Murima inaenda kuformiwa, and it's just going to be backed by Murima people. It's going to be the easiest party to defeat because
Steven anauliza namba ya studio.
they are going to be divided by.
Ngoja ni
Have you
mkutano.
ever heard what Ruto people speak when they speak against Gachagua? Hawamtukanangi, wasema ule jamaa ukabila decisiveness. Kile ukabila tu. They've painted, so that party is going to be painted as a tribal party.
So the number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Like a number of comments here are coming. Pan-African Up has been very active on YouTube. He's saying, hoping Okiom Tata can come here to discuss how to engage the diaspora, thinking diaspora could maybe help fund barazas throughout Kenya to reinvigorate Gen Z and ultimately develop a vision. Pan-African Father says, I feel we need a bigger call to action rather than just Ruto must go. So I'm thinking we engage the Gen Z to collectively develop a vision of the Kenya we want, a vision that will excite the Gen Z. And then Andrew Kimani anasema, I'm declaring my candidacy for President of the Republic of Kenya 2027. Who is with me?
Where does Andrew come from?
Andrew, first of all, needs to send us an invoice.
Mlima gani does Andrew come from? Oh, okay, sorry.
Andrew needs to send us an invoice because amekuja akadeclare candidacy yake hapa.
He's ready.
Yeah. He needs to send us an invoice and then
but he needs a party.
Wairimu anasema Uhuru is not working with Rigiji. Uhuru and his side actually wish Rigiji would fade into the background. That's why and I think we have a caller. Again, the number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Bandio.
All right. The last phone number 1974. Hapo Moshi ndio wanamaliza high school.
So 1974. Please tell us where you're calling from and what your name is and talk to us. 1974.
Hello.
Karibu.
Yule Sambaza.
Sambaza, karibu.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Talk to us, Sambaza.
Welcome you.
How are you welcoming us to our show?
Ni podcaster.
He
welcome kwa show yetu na sisi ndo
No, he put on his podcast hat. It's okay. Let's forgive him.
He thought he was on his podcast, but it's okay. Sambaza, twende kazi.
Thank you. We are welcome.
Welcome, Sambaza.
Thank you. You know, this thing about politics that we're experiencing right now, it's really crazy. Like you said, Raila is being selfish. I like the way the other caller was saying, we're all just going round and round and round and round. Somewhere it has to stop. In my view, I think, like the way Micah says, there was that issue where, what's his face name? Gachagua and Raila were going to be, they were going to have, if they were to come together, they're going to have the most votes. But you guys, I don't know if you caught on. By the time the Parliament was going on break, and I put that comment there was a case that the Azimio won, that they were supposed to have the majority numbers in the Parliament.
Yes.
And Wetangula was having a problem executing those orders, because that would mean that at that particular moment, they would have to change the whole composition of the Parliament. And I think maybe this is the other reason why we're having this coalition again.
Yes, and
because Baba had the upper hand.
You know, the interesting thing, Sambaza, is, and thank you so much for calling in. The interesting thing is that the three, for lack of a better word, the three Luya kingpins. That's Wetangula, Mudavadi, and then there was one other one. I can't remember the third one. I'll remember. They were missing in action in today's event.
Right.
And
irrelevant.
Yes. So the three Luya kingpins, I can't remember watatu ni nani. So they were missing in action.
Ni wawili,
Yeah.
ni kazi na bure.
Yeah.
Wanatoka kazi na bure. Wetangula na nani na Mudavadi.
Yeah.
Wakishiba wasumbuangi.
Yeah. But sasa
Micah ni ish.
I think those guys are also on the chopping block. And if I'm not mistaken, you see, like, what they're trying to do slow. Atu ni wajanja, they do these things very slowly. You know, like from the moment Baba announced, when after the Gen Z revolution, when he made that, when he showed support and donated, members to Ruto's cabinet, we already knew that this was they were going on their way to form a coalition.
Sasa ngoja
But they're doing
interject
slow.
hapo.
Yeah.
Steve, unaweza ukahold kidogo, kuna simu kutoka out of the continent na tutaki kumhold kwa muda mrefu.
Okay, sawa sawa.
Wewe ukae hapo hapo.
Naweza hang up.
Hapana,
usihang up. Ngoja.
Wote tutakurudisha tu tukimaliza kuongea naye. Hii nambari za mwisho ni
Amesikia out of continent akafikiria atalipishwa tari.
8886. Hello?
8886, tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Welcome to the OneMic show.
For me or your show, it's really good. I normally listen to you, and I enjoy the fact that you come together as a group to explore some of the issues which are confronting Kenya. So I really thank your whole group.
Thank you
for what you are doing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I would just like to.
And tell us your name first. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
I'm calling from Australia, and my name is Peter.
Okay.
Karibu Peter.
Karibu sana Peter. All the way from, I think this is our first call ever from Australia. Yeah. Talk to us, Peter.
Yeah, I would just like to really register my disappointment from the actions of Raila. So really, I would, for example, let's look at it. Recently, Azimio was identified as a party with the majority. Raila knows that very well. But he pretends he does not know because he wants to prolong Ruto's reign in power. If Raila was serious about being a serious opposition, which is needed in a democracy, he should not be getting in power sharing arrangement. He should be fighting for his party platform to implement his policies. But I don't think the guy really wants to be in power at all. The Gen Z opened the door for him to walk into State House. Again, at that point, he could have compelled Ruto to go to a snap general election or dissolve parliament, have a vote of no confidence, force Ruto to resign. But again, Raila pretended to be a dumb person. He does not know what to do. And I was hearing some murmurings somewhere. Apparently, Ruto said to him that, if you don't help me, the army is going to take over. No. So Raila, for me, I was angry with Ruto before, but now I'm even more angry with Raila. Raila, he has now become a cancer in Kenyan politics. He is not good for Kenya.
But let me respond to you. Let me respond real quickly. There's there is really no power that the leader of opposition holds. Nothing. You only have a shadow cabinet, and you act as a checkmark. But when you get into a coalition, you get power because you are part of the you're the ruling community. So basically, we can see he's gotten how many? He's gotten very strong cabinets positions for him and his party. So, and he's managed to negotiate more positions into that government. Basically, he's getting more power than he would have gotten as an opposition leader. So, if we are looking at it from a selfish point of view, I think he's becoming a leader as he was supposed to. He might not be a prime minister, he might not be anything, but then he controls the people that is given to the government, and that gives him power. It's just the same as what you're seeing in America. Elon Musk has a lot of power, like a president. He's not an elected leader, but he has power. So if you are given a position whereby you make decisions and you help make decisions in power, and you are constantly in power, he's getting what he wanted. Now, in terms of doing the Gen Z by-elections, the Gen Z protest, if we would have gone for an election at that particular time, I don't think the country was in a capacity to go into an election. We had no electoral body. How would you have had that election? Even if we have said that we follow the constitution and tell Wetangula to rule for 90 days, you cannot create a ABC in 90 days. Our constitution doesn't allow for that. So that would have been a vacuum of power. So those who are genuine concerns that the military will have won, or somebody would have taken up the country through that vacuum of power. We do not. The one thing that people talk about and say that they like the West African countries, that is them. Kenya cannot handle war. If we got into a position whereby that the military is taking over, or that we are trying to do a coup of war, we will never see peace in that country. Do you know how many of our neighbors have never seen peace? They see us with peace. Do you think all those other leaders in those neighboring countries would have allowed peace to reign in Kenya? If we had a situation where we were in conflict? Never.
Micah, wacha Peter chance respond. Peter.
Yeah, I think he raised some good points. But the thing is, when you, for example, during the Gen Z protests, you're going to caretaker mode. There are things that have to be put in place to hold successful elections. It can even go for 6 months. But you put in place special mechanisms to make sure that there are proper structures to make sure that the elections are successful. That's what should have happened. There's no excuse. If Kenya claims to be a democracy or a mature democracy, it's not, but that's what it should have done. There's no excuse. But Raila pretended he does not know. But again,
Peter,
when you say
have those policies
let me finish. When you say that Elon Musk is in government, I don't have a problem with that. But I don't imagine the Democrats aligning with Republicans. No.
Okay, now
the
Peter.
problem here is emerging. We have no opposition now. As a result of what's happening right now, there is no credible opposition.
Now, Peter, before we let you go, we still have some buzz on the line. Before we let you go, in a brief 1 minute, we are all complaining. I'm going to ask the same question, and I'm going to sound like a broken record. We are all complaining. People don't like these coalitions that are in power, that like they fight and then they come together again to eat together. Where should we start politically organizing in order to wrestle power from them? Because, okay, fine, we've already criticized them. They're not good people. What do we do? Like in a brief 1 minute before we let you go.
Actually, I support your point. You made a very good point at some point not too far ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we should really go back to the grassroots, educate the people so that they know how to vote properly, vote with dignity and honor. At the moment, the political literacy is non-existent. So we need to go back to the grassroots and empower people, educate people about voting, validate their vote, how to use their vote. So, and I would also say, for now, the support those people who have put up their hands. There's Omtata, there is Morara. Those support them. If people see those people being supported, it is going to give confidence maybe to someone emerge in the next 5 years who is going to be very transformational. But we have to be brave to move away from the status quo.
Okay, asante sana Peter. Before you go, what time is it in Australia right now?
9 a.m.
It's Saturday, 1:24 p.m.
1 p.m. Okay, Peter, asante sana. Please, share this with other Australians. Tell them to call in, and we'll, if you could inbox, our page, give us your contacts. We'd love to talk to people in Australia to know what's going on with Kenyans in Australia. That would be a very amazing show. So we'll talk to you later. Asante sana, Peter. Bandio.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you so much. I'm suspecting there's other callers.
Yes. Tunarudi kwa Steve au tunakwenda kwa
So turudi kwa Steve tumalizie.
Yes.
And then we're gonna but what's the other four of the
that's 0951.
So 0951, stay tuned.
Hold.
Hang up.
Amehang up.
Atapiga tena.
Okay, piga tena
okay.
202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak.
Nafikiri namjua.
So we go back to Texas, to Sambaza. I'll ask you a simple question before we let you go briefly. We
By the way,
yes.
Ramadan Karim. Don't forget.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Tusaidie kufunga pia. Nasikia kuna Waislamu wengi Texas
Afunge
squeeze.
matendo au afunge
Yeah.
sawa.
But
Afunge kamba.
briefly tell us, Sambaza, where do we start politically organizing? Because now I'm looking forward. Yes, we've criticized, we are unhappy, we are disgusted. We can use all different kinds of adjectives. But how do we move forward? Organizing politically outside these disgusting groups. Give us your Sambaza view on this.
Okay. These views are of my own and not represent anybody else. It can never happen. It will need a drastic change because as much as we talk here, we're talking about things that we're always looking at it in a holistic way. Like we can do this, we'll come together. Yes, we'll all come together. But somewhere along the line, we always hit those default settings. And once those default settings hit, there's no way we're going to be able to get together. And that's why we'll always have these tribal cocoons. Like the same way those politicians started. When everybody started well with Raila 2002, the whole thing we were to get together to remove Moi. You get together, you remove Moi. After a while, cracks come in. Same thing with when we started off the multipartism. They came together, all these different people from different walks of life, they came together. But when they settled down and everything was whatever, everybody became self-centered. Wale watu wetu wakule. So to me, I think Kenya will have to get a drastic change. Something has to happen where it's sweeping that stops everything. I'm not saying like we have something like Rwanda, but I think a change, something like a change of that mindset, whereby we are forced by the rules, and then it goes through some. You have to go like 2 generations. What does Cecil? In fact, people like us need to pass on. Then our kids' are the ones who are going to benefit from that. But right now, as we speak, we'll always be going to our tribal cocoons no matter what happens. So this thing of to get together, yes, we will for a certain point to achieve a goal to a certain point. But after a while, those cracks always will come in.
So you're saying there's no hope. Basically, there's no hope, according to you.
All we have to do is just maintain to endelea.
Okay, so Sambaza has given up. There's no hope. There's no chance. So to kind
people.
I mean, and it's fair enough. I can understand why some people feel that way. The reason why I'm still hopeful is that I know of places that were far worse off than Kenya, and they were able to come out of it within a very short time. So that's why I still feel hopeful. But where I kind of agree with Sambaza kidogo is we may have to see something drastic, and it's not, and I don't like the fact that I'm agreeing with Sambaza on this, but I think sometimes something drastic is what like jolts people into reality. Unfortunately, Kenya has been organized politically. We have been organized tribally, whereby even people who are not in touch with their culture or with their tribe or with their ethnic group, when it comes to politics, this is the one thing that they will make a decision based on their ethnic group. Anyway, Sambaza, we're gonna give you 1 minute. We have another caller on deck.
Let me give you one last thing before I go. You see, when I go home to my village, Uko village kabisa mashinani, I'll go in and tell them, you guys need to vote because of this and this and this. And you are clearly telling them what is wrong in your country. They clearly know. But a politician will come tomorrow and give them a packet of hunger. Seriously, a packet of hunger. And the guys will swear the votes. Why? Because they have a packet of hunger. People are hungry. So their mindset has to change. If we can change that, we'll be good. So that is when I speak about it. That's how I see it. So when you say utaenda kuwafundisha huko mashinani, you're lost cause. Ukileta unga hivi, votes kwako.
Sambaza, mimi na swali fupi. Nafasi ya podcast na media kama hizi kwenye hilo, unaiona vipi?
Itasaidia. Itasaidia kiasi, watu watasikia, lakini kuna vile I think
itapita kwa sikio moja.
Kuelewa vizuri. Vile wanaweza wakateua mtu wao. Lakini itafika wakati kulingana na vile wakifika hapo, unajua kuna pale mtaongea na pale utaingia kuweka hiyo ballot. Ukiingia kuweka vote yako. Sasa mtaongea hapo nje, lakini pale ukiingia uko peke yako.
Yes, totally agree.
So lakini podcast zitasaidia sana.
Okay, asante sana Sambaza. OmoshFaya has been silent. We're going to get to him. We were supposed to be discussing the NADCO report, but
there's another caller.
There was a caller. Is this caller the NADCO report? The caller is done that's been waiting, or this is the caller that's done that's supposed to discuss with
No. So one thing I think ambacho natakiwa, OneMic, Sambaza, wote ambao wanafanya podcast, we have to say something, because at this point, like here in the US, you see people when you say we told you, they may not listen when you're saying it. Yeah. But when it happens, you have a reference, say that we told you so, or next time listen. So we have to start somewhere. We have to say it. We may think maybe they may not change it. They may not listen to us. They may not care about what we're saying. But we have to say it. We have to educate them so that we can have a reference next time.
What are we educating them to do?
And then
whatever we talk about, like right now, usiende ukauza miaka yako mitano kwa kanga.
You know, for me, watu wakisema kuna hope, mimi nasema kuna hope, because the one thing that we need to tell people is this, especially the young people, register to vote.
Yes.
Infiltrate those parties. Become a member of those parties. Clean them up from the grassroots. Unajua kitu moja ni mko na kelele na mko na mdomo, so mkipiga kura na wajaribu kuiba, mpigie kelele yenu mtu ageuzia.
Now, very interesting point Micah amesema, which I think we can talk about it as an idea. Infiltrate those parties, because generally the concept had been these parties ni chafu, go form a new organization. But now what's happening, we're already seeing some Gen Zs go into those formations. So I think that's something also worth discussing. Another thing, real quick, Bandio, before tuende kwa caller, is that hizi medium kama podcast na show kama hizi zetu zilikuwa zinadharauliwa, but bad example, but look at Trump's election. They invested so much in going to podcasts and all other kinds of new media, and these are the places where people actually get influenced, because it's at a personal level. You are in touch with the people who are on the panel, with the guests, with the listeners. So this is something that they did, and they got results out of it. Let's go to the next caller.
Nambari tano za mwisho 0951. Hello.
All right, tell us your name and where you're calling from, and then talk to us.
Welcome to the OneMic show.
OneMic show.
Right.
JJ hapa.
from Texas.
Okay, talk to us, JJ.
Mazo nimekuwa on hold hapa for a minute. Unajua, when you have your thoughts like lined up and you're ready to what is being put on the line, inakuanga umeshazitayarisha. Sasa unajua
umepoteza mwa Kenya.
Maze mwa Kenya lost Micah. Lakini Micah, what I'll say is this, mimi nakubaliana na wewe. Let me try to, fall back to where I was coming from. Na mimi nakubaliana na Micah. Unajua sahi watu wengi sahi wanalalamika. Hivi vile nini. Politics ni mambo ya power. Ukiingia hapo, all these guys wanajaribu kuingia hapo. Hata kama unajaribu, hata tuseme sahi stories za tukiangalia how our system is, which naona ni fake, ati kuna minority na majority. Hiyo imewekwa kwa system ya kufollow mambo ya states. Mambo yetu ya Kenya, sisi ni wase tulikuwa tunafollow parliamentary. Mambo zikibadilishwa tulikuwa tunaenda kufuata unapiga kura, hakuna mambo ya minority na mambo ya minority. So sahi Raila amekuwa akijaribu kufanya everything kujaribu ku stabilize, naweza sema niko wrong ama right, but amekuwa akijaribu kuingia kwa nchi, anajiweka hapo kama ateuliwe kwa kiongozi, lakini mambo inaenda mrama. So sahi ndio, but eventually msana anajaribu kufanya nini? Kukuwa kiongozi. Sasa wewe hata kama umeteuliwa au unaibiwa, tuseme basi ama ulilose, but hata hiyo something inafaa kuwe iko safi. Hiyo ndio shida yetu.
So sasa
wenyewe tunakubali mambo ya elections inaenda mrama, alafu tunakubali mse mmoja anaweza enda kwa streets, anaweka wase, anaharibu economy yetu juu. Raila kingia kwa streets, uongo mbaya, economy inakuwa inaanguka, na si wote tunaumia kama Kenyans. Si wote, si ni wa Kenya. So si wote tunafaa kutake responsibility ya kukuwa tumekubali system yetu imeenda mrama. How do we fix it?
Now, that's a good point.
Hakuna mtu ameoffer any solution hapa.
Ndo nakuuliza sasa, ndo nataka kuja kwako. Tumekubaliana mfumo system imeenda mrama.
Shit system.
Sasa wewe Steven JJ, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? And I don't mean White Rose VIP dry cleaners, but
kuna kusafishana hapa. Hii story.
Where do we go from here?
Wale wasepia walikuwa wakiona system ikienda mbaya, wamepigwa pia bafu chafu. Unajua kusafishana, hii ndio kitu tunafaa tu ikuwe. Watu wamekuwa kusafishana, sasa pia hao wamesafishwa. Watu watajam. Haya. Najua hii ni story ya governance ya nchi. Atufai juu kuna lives na kuwa lost. Lakini hii ni kitu wa Kenya wote wao wanaenda kupiga kura. Hii mambo ya ya kuhesabu kura, tunakuanga hata na kwa show hapa, wase wanafurahi ati mse alisafishwa. Haya,
mgoro kione pele kuocha
wase wengine walisafishwa, walienda wakasanya hizo makura. Moses Kura hata alisema hapa hivyo, alikuwa na fly kutoka one polling station to the other na machopa. Hasa na afodade hiyo machopa. Hizo places hakuna hata mahospitali za wagonjwa. Watu watibiwe. But walikuwa wanaenda kwa polling station nyingine wazee iko mbaya, wanahakisha wako na wase wako hapo wafanye nini. So ndio najua sahi tunaweza sema hiyo ni water under the bridge. Ama tunaweza sema haya sawa. Sawa ameingia kwa gava tena again. Sasa kwenda mbele, najua hiyo ndio swali naweza nipozia, haya kutakuaje? Mimi
unajua nini watu wana panic. Hii si mara ya kwanza tujakuwa na opposition. Vile alisema hatujakuwa na opposition miaka mob. Watu wasium kila time handshake ikihappen at you know the first time handshake may happen. Tuta survive tu. Wale kitu moja watu wanafakuria ni hawa tu complaining wanasema sijui Raila anafaa kuwa opposition leader apiganie sijui nini. Mbona why do you want a strong opposition leader? Why didn't you vote him into becoming a president? Why is it every time you're asking for a strong opposition leader? You should be asking for a strong president, not a strong opposition leader.
That's the comment kwenye YouTube kutoka kwa Karabondi.
Okay.
Yes. Na hiyo ndio hata mimi niko na ndio mimi nasema ninashikana na Micah hapo. Na pia we pose the question, mimi kama nimepiga simu kwa show. Hao wote wamekuwa wakivotia apparently I guess our opposition. Sasa hizi miaka zote kutoka 2002 maze. Miaka ni mob. Mpaka sasa hii mimi nimesaidia kupigia hao basi walikuwa nafaa basi kukua hao ndio watu wanatusaidia kinchi. Mimi kwa Raila aingie hii hata kaa ndio ni self personal gain which nakubali na yeye ali hii Raila hii anaichukua yake ya na hii kitu wataipitisha na hiyo mambo ya NADCO. Hakuna referendum inaenda hii, wanaipitisha na wako na maloya hapo, itaingizwa kwa katiba, iwekwe, islamiwe hiyo ndio kutakuwa na prime minister.
Hawezi kuwa na prime minister bila referendum.
Now unajua I think we in some time tuta review referendum options. Kuna popular initiative na kuna parliamentary initiative. Now we will review back.
Hakuna referendum inafanywa.
Ndo nasema inaweza kuwa ni parliamentary initiative. Na unajua kwa parliament right now they have majority, super majority in both houses. Kwa hivyo we we'll figure out what's gonna happen. But Steven JJ, I like your candid comments. Mimi napenda vile wewe unakuja tu na unasema tu vile una feel. Hakuna
mimi vile na feel.
Yes.
Na pole kwa kukata kidogo hapo hivi. Nimepiga simu najua kuingia, kwa hiyo make sure pia na kuanga noma. So acha tu nimalize pia hii. Na show iko poa. Ilikuwa itakuwa noma. Asanteni wazee man, big up mazee. So but you know what? Hata ikuendaje, this is good for our country. That's the thing that we also need to take out of this. Kuna watu wanasema ati hii sijui ni mbaya, hii nini. Man, hii ndio demokrasia. People will give their opinions, disagree, agree.
Bwana, hii ukoloni mambo leo.
Alright, kuna mtu mwingine kwenye line hapo.
Asanteni mwanzo.
Shukrani sana Steve JJ.
Okay, asante Steven JJ. Unasema kuna kola mwingine.
Kuna kola hapa 7614 kwa sababu tusije tukamweka pia kaka kama alivyokaa Steve JJ. Unajua ndio alikuwa kitu cha kwanza. Hello.
Okay, tell us your name and where you're calling from, caller. Mzuri sana.
Mimi naitwa Andrew.
Okay, na unapiga kutoka sehemu gani?
Andrew Kimani? The presidential candidate.
Yeah, the presidential candidate. Unapiga kutoka sehemu gani?
Mimi napiga kutoka hapa Maryland.
Okay.
All right.
Aya, sawa. Talk to us. You said you declared that you're going to be vying for presidency. So talk to us.
Kwanza nitaka kusema mimi ni fan kubwa sana OneMic show. Nimesikia kutoka Facebook.
Asante sana. Thank you.
Mimi ndio mnaendeleza Kenya. Hata kama mko mbele mnaendeleza Kenya. Mnafuatilianga vitu za home, mnatujulisha. Nimeshukuru sana. JJ ameleta point fiti sana, hakuna solution. Nimekaa nikapost hapa nataka kuwa preso, nika dismiss tu.
Hatuku
dismiss, tuliomba invoice. Tulisema invoice takutumia, hatuku dismiss.
Tulisema takutumia invoice na tutakupigia campaign mbaya. Wewe ukitupiga tu kukuchufiti.
Yeah.
Sasa kitu iko ni kitu mimi nimeona. Mimi grow up in the Nyayo. Okay. Akina Ruto, akina hao wote. Kama mse wangu hapa nisomea na dosi. Nisomea na watu wa dosi. Kwa mimi kwa babi. Kwenye ishagawia. Sawa ishagawa. The only time nimewahi kuona opportunity ni hawa jinzi. Vile walifanyisha Ruto wakati hizi maambanano tu hii walitisho, yani vitu si lazima zifanywe mbele ya kila mtu. Unaweza panga election na mchague watu wenu away from powers na mwatoe. Lancaster Conference akina Kanu watu walienda wakajichagulia kutoka Chambele, wako wa Kenya, walihama Kenya baada kugawanya Kenya, wakarudi home, wakajiweka kwa maofisi. Tangu hiyo siku Kanu imekuwa ikitawala in some way. Sababu au mapreso wote at some point walikuwa Kanu. Mkitaka change watu hii mnafahamu wapunze kuchagua at the county level, mna compare siku za rare works mtakumbuka hizo matime. Kulikuwa na dance competition, ilikuwa na breakdown, Wakenya walikuwa wanafuatilia vitu kama hizo sana. Akakuwa na kompe fulani ya kuchagua wale watu wanaweza toa Kenya paliko, tuweze tuchague wale watu top notch kwa kila county up to executive level, nizaanza kubadilisha Kenya. Hivyo ndio mimi naona. Ndio maana nilikuwa sema okay, naweza declare preso, lakini wasio watanichukulia serious juu mimi katika hiyo class ya wale the elite.
No, lakini najaribu kuelewa hiyo system ambayo unazungumzia. Unasema kuwe na mchujo kila county. Unaona kama vile ulikuwa unazungumzia hiyo dance competition, kina Rare Awards, Suku Party, Jam City. Tunawakumbuka, usituone hivi.
Kumbe aliwe ni mzee hivyo.
Tunawakumbuka.
Throwback Thursdays.
Lakini unasema sasa unasema hiyo mchujo, unasema kama kwa kila county, because unaona kama nchi kama China kule hakuna wana system tofauti ambao si democracy, whereby unapitia mchujo before upatiwe kazi in any sector of government. Kuna mchujo kali sana unapitia by the time you make it, for example, to be the Minister for Foreign Affairs. You've gone through some very rigorous processes na umechujwa, umefika mpaka ikatambulika, na ukifika hapo unapatiwa assignment, na hakuna mambo ya kuwari ati sijui kama mtu atanipigia kura au atanipigia kura, because it's done by a small group of people. So and inaonekana ni kama imefanya kazi huko China. So sijui kama ni system kama ndo na propose Kenya ama vipi, Andrew?
Anasema provincials. Mko na provincials.
Ile kitu nataka ni ati tuchague at the county level all the way up to MP. Candidate anaweza toa kila mmoja wale wako huku sahihi. Wale watu wanafira Kenya. Candidate tunaweza post tuseme huwa anajulikana kwanza county yake yeye alitokea number 1, hakuna campaign. Hakuna dola ati mtakuwa mkishinda mkitoa ati wache tubaie mabe bread. Kila mtu anamjua.
Okay.
Alafu mpost huo candidate against an MP county wala mafala wote mnapost candidate wawili. By the time mfikie Ruto hata juu mwili mgonga. Mnatoa wote
wanaondolewa.
Alafu na nyinyi mkiingia pale mjue wasio na waangalia. Hakuna hii mambo. Burkina Faso inakaribia sasa kutupita. Tushapitwa na TZ. At one point tunaweza kuja tuseme imetosha. Mungu kwa dhani wenzi yetu ndio sisi tunakuja tubadilisha country yetu tuanze compete. Wengi wetu tuko huku tunaendelesha makampuni kubwa.
Okay.
Sasa machopo.
Okay, so
Safaricom. Tuendelee Kenya mazee. Nimesema nyingi lakini solutions ziko.
Okay. Haya, asante sana ndugu Kimani. Kabla uende ndakuuliza swali moja na ni watu tu hizo enzi zetu watakumbuka. Ile Fiat Uno ilikuwa inafaa kuwa ni Jam City ama ni Rare Watts waipate?
Inategemea.
Brango alikuwa ni Rare Watts.
Ni Rare Watts.
Kama mnakumbuka Chalo alikuwa Chalo ni Brango. Uno ilikuwa Rare Watts.
Lakini Jam City ndo alipatiwa. Kulikuwa na bahasha pale ama nini ilifanyika?
Hiyo corruption Kenya ilianza kitambo.
Lakini I think nani Rare Watts walikuwa wanakapoaje ya kuvaa hiyo
nguo za Kimasai.
Yeah. But I think superstars. Mimi watu walikuwa katika superstars. Miko hiyo competition watu wanasema walikuwa na dance superstar.
Walikuwa wanaitwa Sukuspati, si Sukusstars. Wewe Mike inaonekana ulikuwa
okay hao sema kwanza na zile kofia zao za mrije wala soko. Hiyo ngoma unapenda
Steven Jeje
hiyo ngoma ilikuwa tangulini dogi kavala ungi. Hakuna.
Oh my God.
Anyway, mimi nataka nimuinvite Andrew. Ukipata nafasi please to join hapa. Wewe huko hapa naona nikiangalia namba hapa inaonekana huko mbali. So siku moja just contact us uje studio kabisa hapa tukae tupige story, nafikiri itakuwa bora zaidi.
Haya, sawa.
Nashukuru kwa wakati wenyu. Kenya hakuna nyayo, kuna Kenya ni moja. Kenya ni yetu tuibembe.
Asante sana. Bado Steve JJ yupo online. Steve anasema kwamba he has a point. He's trying to put it the same way like in the States. Things are more powerful on laws, or laws are more powerful from the ground up. Ndio yale mambo ya 2016 ambapo watu wa kumtaka Trump and yet akaweza kupita. Slay anasema allow me to write badala ya kucall. Why?
I mean what?
Anasema when she commented about Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger, she didn't mean that she want the Kenya military to take over. There are other lessons that we that use can pick, such as from the ground up, getting rid of corruption and somewhat not allowing corrupt leaders to take the office. A thorough cleanup of government officials that don't do anything. Laws that will prohibit the rising of these people again, like Sambaza said, something drastic. The issue ni something drastic.
Something drastic.
Yeah, ni ile Tanzania tunasema kwamba tunatakia kiongozi ambaye hana rushwa, and by the time unafika pale ambapo unakuwa kiongozi, you're so corrupted you can't even say anything about that. So,
but you know,
wacha niwape example lingine ya infiltrate parties, and an example that works.
Steve JJ bado kwenye line.
And is working. Unajua ni gani? MAGA.
Wali invade Republican Party.
Kwani tulianza na nani pia? Tulianza na Tea Party,
Tea Party pole ndo alianza.
Yes.
Lakini sasa MAGA wakakuja
MAGA naye walikuja unamkwenda kusema ati Republicans siku hizi angalia vile wako wote ni MAGA straight.
So hivi Mika unasema tuingie pale ODM tukawashambulie. Tupite kama upepo.
Unajua Ali, nakwambia mnafagia watu mpaka either watanyoka
wanatii amri.
Unasema kote. Men in black wako. Yani men in black wako.
Ngoja kwanza.
Tunatulia tu. Pole, najua nakukata Mika, lakini tulia kidogo. Sasa walikuwa wanafanya mambo yao na walikuwa wanaisha down our throats. Hakuna uongo hapa ama kudanganyana. Walikuwa wanaingia hapa hivi na unajua hii ni airwaves poa. Wanasema mtafanya nini? Kura imeenda. Wacha mtafanya. Hata mpige maandamano. Sahi.
Wacha nikupe kimoja nini. Wewe JJ, ngoja kwanza before usifu Men in Black, right? Kama usharealize kitu, unajua kwa nini zote za ODM, stronghold zote za ODM, Luo Nyanza is the only place they don't vote 6 piece. Literally kwa Jaluo huwezi ibakura. Wakipigia mtu wao waseme tunataka governor atoke huku, wakichuja huyu hauwezi waibia kura. Kwa sababu gani? Wana mdomo na kelele. Alafu ngoja kutunga kura, wameregister kwa party. Unaona vile, you see how a lie wanganaambia watu Twitter, hata muonge mufanye nini, you're not members of the DM, you can't do anything. Hiyo kiburi yako nayo ni nini? He is a member of the party. But when everybody registers for those parties, they cannot tell you anything because you voted as a member of the party. Wewe si ati vote our country, utakuja tu kuvote in election. No, you vote the policy of the party. So most things that these young people need to do ni kuingia kwa hizi chama, infiltrate them. And guess what? You have taken the power from right beneath their feet.
Okay.
Because umeingia kwao kwa nyang'anya. Unajua mimi nimelipa mamilioni kwa hii party na feel mood hii party imechange. I'm not gonna lose my money. I'll turn and work with my money with what gives me power.
Okay, sawa. So these are new ideas. So these are new ideas, and of course because
kuna Ali pia wase pia wanacheza karata na draft up. There's pieces being moved.
Correct.
So, and that's the thing. Politics, people are putting it into their lungs, they're breathing in and out. Breathe in, more. So when you see someone making their political moves, he is, after all, what is called a politician. Being a politician, hakuna atakwambia half truths. So wewe kama unamuaminia ati wewe atakwambia ukweli. Tunaweza ongea tu hata mambo zingine hapa wasa wamedanganywa mambo mingi. Siku watu waliambiwa ukuta itamalizwa ama sijui mayai zitakuwa zimeshukishwa bei. Sasa wanapangwa tu.
Sasa wanapangwa na unaona shida ni nini? Kitambo wangepangwa yote sasa. Kitambo wangepangwa.
Okay. Haya, sawa. Acha tusonge mbele hapa kidogo. Steven JJ, kabla uende, hapo ulikuwa unaongea juu ya Hawadi Awara. Tuliishi na yeye mada. Alishinda. JJ sikujua wewe uliishi mada.
Hawadi Awara.
JJ ni msema mada. MF gani?
JJ kama uliishi mada.
MF33. So hiyo nimeshajiuza.
Sasa sikiza hapa Steven JJ. Kama uliishi mada, lazima nilikupiga machobo huko Weche Cup. Nilikuwa na chenga mbaya sana huko nikiwafunga mabao. But Hawadi Awara pia alikuwa noma sana. Mimi nilikuwa hapo Kodi Road. Mimi nimeishi Kodi Road.
Nani alikwambia JJ alicheza bola?
Hakuna timu yoyote ya West iliwaishinda Weche Cup.
Mzee Bombe
as a participant participation.
Mzee, lakini machobo niliwaweka. Hiyo mkubali. Hizo siku ni machobo ndo tuna count. Hatu count nani alishinda. Machobo pale Bombe. Machobo zile post ndogo.
Haya, twende kwenye YouTube.
Steven JJ, lazima tuongee kando hii story.
Subiri kwanza tuangalie hapa. Wairimu alisema Uhuru is not working with RG, I mean Rigi G. Uhuru and his side actually wish RG would fade into the background. Ndipo ambapo Garamondi alisema kwamba most of the guys saying Raila disappointed them didn't even vote for him. Now that he is leveraging his influence to negotiate for power, the same folks are up in arms. What do they want him to do? Jamaa anatafuta nani? Anatafuta retirement plan kama alivyosema Micah. Following mdogo Haithan Habib, shukrani sana karibu. Pan-African Nation anasema yeah, China has an objective measurement component. It's not based on popularity only. Sawa. Karabondi anasema political parties in Kenya are private members clubs. You can't just walk in and take over just because you are a member. There is hierarchy that must be followed. Really? Andrew Kimani anasema MJ6 and Allah
MF6. Andrew Kimani ni wa Madaraka.
Andrew Kimani pia ni wa Madaraka.
Mhesh.
Ni watu niliwapiga machogo pale weche kabisa sana.
Facebook alikuwa Mhesh siku hizo.
Tuone nani. Ali, naambia kwamba hii ni Ramadhani, so I hope audanganyi. Ameshafungulia huyu, kwa hiyo
hakuna bana. Weche cup kama ulishimada.
Unadanganya mpaka saa 10 asubuhi.
No, ngoja sale, umesikia? Kama ulishi Madaraka na Nairobi West, ulicheza, na unajua ni kina nani ulicheza Weche Cup? Kina Wanyama na kina Mariga. Believe it or not walicheza Weche Cup. Kwa hivyo hapa kama ni sisi kupenda mambo usomi, mngekuwa mnatuona kule Premier League. Kule mngekuwa mnatuona huko.
Hiyo ambayo Premier League ya nani ya KFK.
Endo nasema Bushi. Unajua statistically ametaja ni Chobo pekee.
No, lakini Chobo
Mombasa ni Skonyo.
Hata nikwambie
unajua kufanya pekee.
Lakini Chobo
kulikuwa na two styles, Chobo na Kanzu. Ukivalishwa kanzu mzee.
Kanzu was worse.
Sijui Tanzania mnahitaji.
Inapigwa kanzu hiyo. Hivyo kanzu. Umeangalia juzi nani amepiga watu kanzu 2. Samantha akapiga chap akatoa assist.
No, hiyo unapiga ngumi.
Mzee kanzu afadhali hata upate red card.
Yes.
Ama ushike handball upate
hiyo double
kama Chobo.
Wakumbushe watu wanasikiliza.
Tuned in to the OneMic show. Number to call 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. We of course talking about the major announcement that was made bringing together Raila Odinga and President William Ruto in a memorandum of understanding. Now the memorandum of understanding was one that was said will ease political tensions, foster national unity, and address Kenya's most pressing social and political challenges. We did not even go through everything that was on the Memorandum of Understanding and NADCO report. I'll just go through them briefly here because leo watu wameamua ni kupiga simu na kupiga simu
which is what we want,
which is what we want, which is what we love. So again, I'll say the Memorandum of Understanding, there were 10 key points. One of them was a full implementation of the NADCO report that we'll still go through. Have inclusivity in budgetary allocation and appointments, protect devolution, then there's economic investment in the youth. I don't know exactly what that means. And then there's leadership integrity and end of opulence. I also don't know what exactly that means. And then there's a right to peaceful assembly and compensation of all pending claims. Now the right of peaceful assembly, yeah. Na sasa hii right of peaceful assembly na mazee Ishungu alioshwa na Mediasan, but tutaongea hiyo hapo baadaye. And then right to peaceful assembly, that's already in the constitution, so I don't know exactly what these guys are talking about. No. And then audit of national debt and how it was used, and then fighting corruption, stopping wastage of public resources, protection of sovereignty, stop abductions, and respect constitutionalism. Hapa, like, to me, I totally don't get why you need a coalition or a handshake or a broad-based government to be able to do these things that you're already supposed to do, Micah.
Basically, most of the things that you've mentioned over there are things that what kept people in the streets, what were being said when people in the street, right? Your opulence, odious debt, people are talking about odious debt, talking about debt, right? Some of the spending, like check spending because people are complaining. Why is it that the finance bill was about to increase in spending? Abductions is what the youths are complaining about right now, immediately during the protest and after the protest. Basically, all that is lip service to say that ODM wamejenga serikali to keep serikali in check in these things you are complaining. This is just stuff that has been written to try to justify what this is happening, so that people are to live. And that is why I say, what was it? Ngoja kwanza watu wasitulie, watu wasitulie.
Acha nikwambie tu.
Ngoja kwanza
unaomba mvua, you have to deal with the mud tope mpaka uwe.
JJ wacha mika maliza alafu utaingia. JJ wacha mika maliza alafu utaingia.
Ngoja tuko base. Tulia. So basically, again, they have to justify why they were why this memorandum was being signed, and everything that has been justified is what people are on the streets on. And when they tell you that this is what you're going to do, it doesn't mean that that is what they're going to do. The pressure should not stop in any way. The only opposition that country has is the people, and how people keep checking and people keep complaining. That noise that is on social media gets to the ground, na ikifika kwa ground, unasikia watu wakisema watu wanakuwa injected. Unaona mtu ameenda ushago amesomewa amefanyiwa nini. That noise, they feel it, they know it, they hear it. So people should not stop in any way just because of this thing.
Okay, asante Micah. JJ, wacha tukupatie one last chance utueleze, and then we now start getting to the conclusion part. JJ.
Najua mazee nyukwanga mko mbele kaa mfuko ya shati. Na Micah pia anamaliza. Nilikuwa tunamwambia tu mazee. Kenya Micah pia anasema tu ni unajua wa Kenya wamekuwa wanataka tu kudeal na history ati sijui nini. Mazee madalili ya mvua ni mawingu.
True.
Raila ameenda through all the country ati kusawazisha ati I'm talking nini. Basically tu Raila aliingia gava kitambo. Ile watu wa sita waliingia kwa gava.
Okay.
Alikuwa ameshaingia.
Okay.
Saa hii tu ni tunafaa pia si wenyewe tuko wajanja si wote. Tunasoma hii rada mapema ndio best.
Okay.
Pia wa Kenya history ya kupiga kura based on ati sisi ni wajaka nini, yaani wa Sapere, hawa ni watu wa Northeastern. Tunasaidia na si wote. Kenya ni nchi moja.
Kweli kabisa.
I always want to be an optimistic guy.
Okay.
So wacha nisiwache nikitoka kwa hii mazeni opportunity poa sana na nashukuru sana. So
okay. Asante sana JJ.
Also live with a positive note for our fellow Kenyans.
Asante sana JJ. Quick question kabla
uende. Akishikana na Ruto. Hii sio ati the end of the world.
Okay.
Hiyo Kenya pia tuchangamke. Na tujue pia mambo ya kura, vile watu na strategize, watu wanafanya nini, lakini si wote mpaka tushikane na tutake kitu tatusaidia sisi sote as a country.
Okay.
That's what we also need to be looking at. How can we benefit each other, man? Our health system is messing up. If we vote this guy and he builds a hospital, like right now we have 47 governors. They're building governor atumia resources za taxpayer za kusaidia his area. How is that helping us as a nation, all of us together as Kenyans? Because at the end of the day, whether we like it or not, we are Kenyans.
Okay.
We have to put ourselves first as a country. The way hata Trump waseu kuangana mpiga vibaya sana, he says put America first.
Okay.
So we have to put our Kenyans, we have to help each other as a country.
Okay. Asante sana.
We fix the issues.
Asante sana, yeah. Steven JJ. Na before uende, uko na contact ya Hawa Diawara? Tuonane kando. Nyuma ya tent hiyo hapo. Haya, asante sana. Okay, sawa.
One mic show maze, pamoja maze, and then all the listeners maze, at the end of the day, we all want the same thing. That's, okay. I guarantee you, hakuna mtu hapa hivi atasema ati, let me fix my area, and then the other Kenyans ati wabaki hawana. Okay. This is sorted. We are, unless I'm living in utopia, but
okay. Haya, sawa. Asante sana Stephen JJ.
Huyu alifanya little.
Yes,
kuna caller mwingine.
Yes, and before we pick up that caller, I tuned into the One Mic show. Number to call is 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Leo lines za simu zimefunguka na watu wanatoka nayo.
Au ni kwa sababu
One Mic, yes.
It could be. I think kuna vile yeye waganatatisha wase, and you might have a user-friendly
because I was trying to figure out what it is
I think
that we did different today.
And that
is the
lowest common denominator.
Yes, that's the lowest common denominator.
Is not here, and he scares them.
Yes.
And we have mtu wa bongo anakuja tu pole pole, ni kama ni katara kanaingia tu hapo tu pole pole tu.
All right.
Alafu mnasema Raila anajua kuruka watu.
All right. Last phone number 0185.
0185. Let us know where you're calling from, and please tell us your name.
Hello.
Yes, Karibu. Welcome to the One Mic show.
Yes, tell us where you're calling from and your name.
Thank you very much. This is Pablo, and I'm calling from California.
Pablo from California. Karibu sana.
Watu wa magharibi.
Been a while. Pwani ya magharibi.
Okay.
Ama kama vile Wairimu alisema Costi ya magharibi. Yeah.
Costi ya kusini.
Yeah, anyway, asanteni. So ni poa kama kawaida. Ndio saa zingine ina happen inakamtukua bado tuko job saa zingine, but most of the time tunasikiza mazee na big up for ile kazi poa mnafanya.
Asante.
So mimi nilikuwa nataka kuchangia kwa hii debate ya leo. Kwanza niseme, na vile nilisema kwa chat fulani hapo, mimi nilipigia Ruto kura na nilimsupport for a long time, but hii move ya jana nilifeel niko disappointed. Siko disappointed vile sana nitaanza kumcall names nini na nihepe kitu kaa hiyo, but niko disappointed vile it has to come to a point where place kama Kenya lazima tukue na opposition strong. Na hilo wakati kuna opposition strong ni kumaanisha wasi wako gava wanakuwa kept in check. So hii move ya jana hata ukiangalia vile vile kina Sifuna walianza ni kama si watu wote wako on board, inakaa ni kama niyo convenience ile kelele moja wasi walianza zile za since that you say Honorable Raila lose PTIOC, tumtafutie kitu tumfix. Ilianza tu kitu kama hiyo, inakaa tu kama mchezo tu, na ikakaa ikafika tu hiki kiko leo. Ndio ukiangalia hizo kama hizo 10 points zenye ametuambia hapo hivi, for sure hii ni story tu kufunika wasee macho. Tayari wameshafukuza wasee kwa nini za parliament, hizo makomiti wakeka wasee wa ODM yes, wakaanza kutuambia wameleta watu wengine, so ni handshake. Na Ruto akikampaign alituambia vile, unajua I think aliita conundrum wakati alikuwa anaongea kiwa huko na Kigali, wakati alikamuku akatuambia Kenya ni kama kuna conundrum ya hawezi jua kama opposition iko government ama government iko opposition. So mimi swali yangu itakuwa zile za nataka sima Raila akuwe na zile answers za. So before jana walikuwa wanasema kuna vitu kina Ruto wako wanafanya right. So now saizi vile wamesainiwa MOU, so hizo vitu zitaendelea kuwa right, zitaendelea kuwa wrong kwao. So as correct ama saa itakuwa sasa ni wakati wako Christian kina Ruto ndio sasa all of a sudden wakae ni watu wako poa. Ukiangalia kama ile I believe ni point number 10 nilisema story ya kustop abductions. So hiyo point yenye imekuwa ikisemekana zile za gava for sure imekuwa ikiabduct wase. So sasa watatuambia nini ama hizo abductions sasa zitastop juu sasa kumekuwa na MOU. Ama sasa ukianza kuachiliwa sasa utajua zile za kumbe wase walikuwa wameshikwa kwa sababu si wako wanataka wengine wako wanataka ama kitu kai. So mimi yangu ni kusema niko disappointed na kuna kitu Steven JJ amesema zile za sisi wote ndio tunataka the same thing, but then at the end of the day tusisahau tuko na constitution yenye inasema kutakuwa na president moja at a given time. So kwa Kenya imekuwa zile za ni kama hizo game za jokes za Ali za bola hapo hivi. Ukiangalia kuna wakati watu wengine walikuwa wanataka kuingilia katikati ya game, wanataka kucheza, game inaendelea, kuna change rules inabaki, nyinyi toeni shati, si tuvai shati, songesheni goal na mkichukaa hizo. So ni the same thing na hapo Kenya zile za kila 5 years tulikuwa tunashika msema teka zile za tunamwona kila kitu ni wrong, tunataka kuingia ndani pia si tupatiwe a piece of the cake. Badala zile za mtu akiluza anakaa kando, anakuwa yeye ni opposition na ana keep gava in check. Other than sasa tuanza kwenda kwa katiba, kukua referendum, tuweke prime minister tena, tuweke sijui 2 deputy prime ministers, tunasema wage bill ina balloon kwa sababu sasa wakiingia watapatiwa ofisi, watapatiwa staff, watapatiwa security na vitu kama hizo. So while sisi tunataka kitu same, pia ni poa tukirespecti gava zile za tuko na katiba yenye si utumia kuestablish government every 5 years. Jua sasa kuna talk ya tunataka kuextend nini za Ruto term yake. Kama ni kweli ama ni uongo hatujui, lakini imesemekana. So unajua kila kitu mtu usikiza alafu na decide utafanya na hiyo story. So to wind down zile za hii story jani just, but at the end of the day ni story yao. Mimi nataka tu Kenyans wakuwe woke, wajue mwelekeo inaelekea. Ile side nyingine kina Kalonzo ameshaanza kusema zile za hao watajipanga. Na ukiangalia sasa kila kitu sasa itakuwa ni kuna tribal groupings. Our against our.
Yes.
Hakuna issues anymore, ni watu wetu, watu wa wale wengine. Na that's the Kenya tuko naye.
Okay, asante sana Pablo.
Pablo.
Lakini Pablo, kabla uende, kuna swali moja nataka kuuliza. Wewe ni bora uwe na kiongozi wa upinzani ambaye ni imara, mwenye nguvu, au ni bora tuwe na rais ambaye ni imara na mwenye nguvu? Kwa sababu umetaja hapo strong opposition. Ni muhimu kuwa na strong opposition. Je, ni muhimu pia kuwa na strong leader ama strong president? Pablo.
Ni muhimu kuwa nayo kwa sababu wakati ana campaign anatuambia hizi vitu zote poa, nitaleta hii na hii nyingine. So ni vizuri kuwa na mtu strong mwenye kama ulichopromise hizo vitu, please kuja udeliver. Hii side nyingine opposition na zile za wait, wakati mlikuwa mna run mlipromise watu ABCD. Ukisikiza opposition wa Kenya saa zingine it's not so much that wana call out government, ni zile za sisi hatuko hapo, huyu mse mwenye ako hapo anafanya, lakini sisi tunafanya nafanya kitu poa. Ukisikiza poa kwangu wanapatiana solution. So what we need strong opposition ya kukeep hao watu in check, na need pia mtu a good leader mwenye alitupromise hizi vitu then anatupatia whatever alipromise.
Okay.
Nakubaliana na Pablo. Kuna msemo unasema kwamba ili ufanikiwe unahitaji marafiki, ili ufanikiwe zaidi unahitaji maadui.
Yes. Okay.
Adui mpende.
Asante sana Pablo. Utasalimia watu huko pwani ya magharibi, au kama vile Wairimu alisema Coast ya magharibi.
Pan-Africa. Pablo pia ni wa Madaraka ama si wa Mada? I'm just asking you, inaonekana issue ni watu wa Mada.
Pablo hakula chobo yangu.
Okay.
Hapana, sikula yako.
Wewe ningekuvalisha kanzu kwanza.
Pan-African Nation anasema right when they were drafting this to-do list, Ruto was going back on a widely broadcasted declaration regarding cash handouts by politicians in churches.
20 million worth.
Kitu kizuri pia alikizungumza, najua PLO sio mwanasiasa, lakini alizungumza kitu kimoja, akazungumza nafasi ya makanisa kwenye kile kinachoendelea Kenya, and I liked it. Akasema kwamba hutawaona wakienda kwenye masinagogi wakazungumza politics na kuchangia, utaona wamekwenda kwenye misikiti, lakini muda wote wako, and he called out wale watu wakule kuzungumzia namna ambavyo wanatumia mimbari ama zile pulpits zao kwa ajili ya politics na It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, hiyo kitu kwa kwanza makanisa ni muhimu sana. Yani ni jambo la kushtusha sana kwanza sisi tukiona watu wanaingia katika
100% politics kwenye mimbari
kwenye mimbari makanisani. Ni jambo la kushtusha sana, lakini imekuwa ni kitu cha kawaida sasa. Kila Jumapili wanasiasa wanajigawa, wanatafuta wote enda kanisa fulani na kanisa fulani, na anapatiwa time ya kuzungumza pale.
Na kila siku kwenye funerals, sijui kwenye nini, kila
siku kwanza funerals
when they come for a funeral, you even have to give them rules of engagement. Na wakishaingia na washike mic, forget it. All family members who are not spoken, nothing happening.
Funerals are even worse. Yeah.
All right. Tuendelee kuwakumbusha wale ambao hujapiga. Kwanza tuwashukuru wote ambao wamepiga simu, lakini kama bado hujapiga simu kabla aliyejiendelea na memorandum, nataka nikwambie.
It's your time.
Yes.
It's calling time. Let's hear from you, listeners.
Ali. 202-683-4570. Press *5 to speak. Do you have another call, or we go through the NADCO report?
Sasa kwenye NADCO report.
Let's go to the NADCO report.
Sasa, because this NADCO report was mentioned in the memorandum of understanding, but they skillfully did not mention what was in the NADCO report. And part of the problem that we have in Kenya is that people do not read these documents. And in people's defense, this was a 520-page document.
That document was long.
It's a long document.
Huge.
Yes, it's huge.
You
know, kwanza hii kitu
they were in what?
Kina Kalonzo, walikuwa na forum kabisa.
Was it for 4 months? How long was it?
I can't remember how long it was.
Was a long
but
time.
There was a forum pale Hassan Omar alipoanza argue na nani na Kalonzo. It was a forum that lasted for quite a while.
For a while.
And they came back with this 520-page report. But because you're tuned into the OneMic show, we've summarized some of the things for you, so you don't have to read the full 520 pages. You know, like kwanza your report, you know, like when I went kwanza on my work computer. Sorry employer. On my work computer ikasema not secure. Yeah. Your website.
It's the source that
yes, not secure. So, but it was 520 pages. Now when I tried to download it into a PDF, system yetu pia ilikataa, so ikabidi nisome tu hapo kwa nini kwa browser.
There was another chap who was trying to do a summary.
Unataka kutumia computer na nini to save ink? Alikuwa anajua kiprint 500. Akasema
computer ilisema hapana, ilikataa.
It's still a large file.
Yeah, it's a large file.
Hata Gemini ilikata
summarize. Hiyo kitu hapana.
I was waiting for Mikasi to give us the AI summary.
By the way, Gemini ilikataa. You know, like I could not get it onto ChatGPT because nilishindwa kudownload kwa desktop because ilikataa, ilisema ilianza kutoa signs zingine za red. Nikajua hapa nikiendelea hivi watu wa IT department
watablock.
Yes. No watanipigia simu. Nikasema okay.
Warning, overdrive, warning.
Yeah, sawa, but pretty much the document, it was a comprehensive 520-page report. It was addressing key political and governance issues in Kenya. So the major highlights, these are just the surface level highlights. Of course, these are documents that you want to go read slowly if you have time, because these are the things that we are gonna be complaining about, you know, in a few years to come. So the first part was electoral reforms, and I think we've already started seeing some of this in progress. So they're talking about edit the 2022 electoral process. The report recommends a thorough evaluation of the 2022 elections to identify and address any irregularities. So, and Micah had earlier said that we are now in a situation where you're putting, like a dog in a hen house to look over the chicken or the hens or whatever it is. Because now Ruto and Raila on the same side, and they're the ones who will be overseeing this audit process. So it's kind of like one of those things that we're not sure about how it will go. And then there's the restructuring of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and the purposes of expanding the IEBC selection panel from 7 to 9 members to enhance inclusivity and transparency. You know, easy makizungu at inclusivity.
Yeah, of course.
Inclusivity and transparency.
Those are the words that you have when you go for those.
So they're using those words. They're using those words for benchmarking and capacity building, just to say we want to add the number of people we pay, so that we can put our own people in there.
Yes.
Which is again problematic.
But then, okay, so here's the question that I would ask. Okay, hapo kwa watu wa cabinet, are we saying that are they saying that okay, yeah, it was the NADCO thing, but are they saying that they're actually going to add, or they will subtract from what they have?
No, they're going to add. Currently there are 7. Is it 7 commissioners? I think currently we have 7 commissioners. So they want to add them to become 9, which I don't understand why, because clearly one thing that we've seen.
Inamaanisha kila party inaongeza nomination
wanaongeza mtu wake, but you see, from the time that the former commission collapsed, I mean, of course we've not been having by-elections, but clearly what it tells us is that we have too many commissioners, because IBC has been able to do whatever they're doing with 0 commissioners. Of course they've not been able to hold by-elections, but to me I think 3 commissioners would be enough to do this, but now they want 9. But story for another day.
But if they have 9, isn't there's a quorum? Because I think there's that number that if they are X, then operations still endelea.
Yes, there's usually a quorum.
So if you only have 3,
okay, 3 maybe kidogo.
You understand?
But maybe 5.
So if they have that, because there was a time when it was a mass exodus. Kumbuka alafu then when they walifanya ile
after elections.
Yeah, when Stephen JJ was saying kulikuwa na what ukarabati chess and
yes. Anyway, let's go back to the electoral reforms again in the NADCO report. They also want to extend timeline for presidential election petitions. So the suggestion to increase the period for the Supreme Court to hear and determine presidential election petitions from 14 days to 21 days, allowing for comprehensive deliberations. And then there's a timing of electoral legal reforms. Recommends that any legal reforms passed less than 18 months before general elections become effective in the subsequent electoral cycle, ensuring stability and predictability in the electoral process. So that's the electoral reforms part. The NADCO report also addressed cost of living. Cost of living talked about reduction of government expenditures. So it advises all government arms to cut their travel budgets by 50% and urges the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to reduce daily subsistence allowances for state and public officers by 30%. Very simplistic in my opinion. And then there's fuel levy adjustments. It recommends that the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, in collaboration with the National Treasury, reduce the road maintenance levy and anti-adulteration levy by 5 shillings to 3 shillings per litre. So I think it's currently 8 bob to alleviate fuel costs. And then there's the devolution of function and resources. It calls for the national government to finalize the transfer of all devolved functions and allocate corresponding resources to county governments. Additionally, proposes amending the constitution to increase the equitable share to county governments from 15% to not less than 20% of all national revenues. Then there's a controversial part of constitutional amendments. Now, this is the part that they were not talking about, and this is the part of the NADCO report that they want to sneak in so that people go fighting over other things, while these parts here, people are not talking about. So, establishment of key offices. So, there's the establishment of the leader of the official opposition, proposes creating this office for the leader of the largest party or coalition that received the second highest number of votes in the preceding presidential election, with provisions for 2 deputies. Then there's the office of the prime minister. Recommends establishing this role to be nominated by the president and approved by the National Assembly, aiming to enhance coordination of government functions and promote national unity. And then there is entrenchment of development funds. Advocates for embedding the National Government Constituency Development Fund, NGCDF, the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, NGAAF, and the Senate Oversight Fund into the Constitution. Additionally, suggests establishing the Ward Development Fund through statutory means to ensure grassroots development. And then finally, number 4, fidelity to multi-party democracy. They're talking about strengthening political parties, emphasizes the need to uphold the principles of multi-party democracy by ensuring political parties adhere to democratic practices, promoting internal democracy, and enhancing the regulatory framework governing political parties to foster transparency and accountability. In other words, kizungu mingi mingi.
Hiya political parties ni kumaanisha Ruto hawezi nunua party. Kama ilikuwa kwa coalition fulani ibaki.
That's what it says, but the practicality of it, we don't know. To me, the most critical part, now the in between the lines that you only get now on the OneMic show, what's not being talked about in mainstream media is this constitutional amendments. Because you see, they very cleverly just wrote implementation of the NADCO report. This is the NADCO report. Creating new offices. Office of the Leader of the Official Opposition. However, I'll say something a bit, maybe not controversial, but I'll say that there were certain things that worked before we got a new constitution that we should not have gotten rid of. I like the idea that we had a shadow cabinet and there was a clear office of the official opposition. Now, the difference is that back then, the person running for president was also running for a parliamentary seat. And I think it's the same. I don't know if it's the same in Tanzania or Rusiwi. So before the 2010 constitution in Kenya,
you had to be a member of parliament.
You had to be a member of parliament.
You had to run for parliament, win, and then you
have to win your parliamentary seat. So unaona, for example,
that up for you too.
So unaona kama Kibaki alikuwa ni mbunge wa Odhaya.
Yes.
What?
Yes. You had double duty. You are an MP and a president.
Yes, these are the new things you learn, Bandio.
That was before 2010.
So Kibaki alikuwa, and I think I don't know that it's the same thing in the UK, because I think in the UK is your
being a prime minister,
you have to be a member of parliament. So you have to have been voted for by a constituency. Yeah, but as a Kenyan president,
the UK doesn't have a president.
Moi alikuwa ni mbunge wa wapi? Moi alikuwa ni mbunge wa was it Baringo South?
Baringo.
Yeah.
Baringo South. It was Baringo straight up.
Yeah, it was Baringo, and then anaitwaje Jomo Kenyatta alikuwa ni mbunge wa Gatundu. No, Gatundu my guy, yeah. Alikuwa ni mbunge wa Gatundu.
Yeah, Odhaya ilikuwa nani?
Odhaya ilikuwa Kibaki.
Sorry, yes.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
So kama ulikuwa rais, hata pia kwa waziri ilikuwa ni lazima kwanza uwe mbunge.
Yes, you could not be a minister without being a member of parliament.
Unless kuna wale walikuwa wakuteuliwa, nominated.
Unakuwa nominated kuwa, no, you have to be wanakunominate kuwa member of parliament and then unachukua waziri.
Then unachukua waziri.
You still have to. Nafikiri ni kutoka hiyo ni British thing.
Yes, but sasa most ministers in Kenya wao walikuwa tayari washapigiwa kura, but kuna wale wawili watatu ambao walikuwa hawezi kupigiwa kura makwao. Kwa mfano Joseph Kamotho, wakati ambapo Moi alikuwa hayuko popular kule sehemu za Ukikuyuni, so yeye alikuwa anakuwa nominated, alafu anateuliwa kuwa waziri.
Minister of Education.
Yeah, Minister for Education. Yeah. So I think there were certain things that used
shadow
to
cabinet,
work.
I'm not sure how it used to work in Kenya, but I really like the shadow cabinet because everything, like in TZ, wakiweka budget, kuna shadow cabinet, serikali inaleta budget, inasoma budget ya wizara ya afya, and then shadow cabinet na wao wanaleta kwao. So you at least have something to compare. And sometimes hata kama wabunge, when they argue, you're like, okay, this makes sense. It's like, why do we spend this much money kwa ajili ya kununua gowns hizi wakati tuongeza kulipa hii?
Yeah.
Put priorities kidogo. So kulikuwa kuna waziri mkuu kivuli. Kuna nini? To me inafanya kazi if and only if.
So waziri kivuli bado wako mpaka leo, lakini
position ipo, ila kuna mawaziri kwa sababu hakuna wabunge wa upinzani.
Kwa sababu CCM karibu 100% of parliament ni CCM.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hii ni ile nakwambia kwamba tukui, we just stop you from breathing.
Okay.
Ukitaka kufa shauri yako.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But I think I like that idea because you have these big personalities. You got 49% of the vote, and now because you're not allowed to run as a member of parliament, because like when Raila was losing elections, bado alikuwa anarudi bunge until 2013 with a new constitution. Hapo ndo pali sasa alilose na akawa yuko nje, but constantly alikuwa akilose election, yeye bado alikuwa ni mbunge wa Lang'ata. Yeye bado alikuwa ni mbunge wa Lang'ata. Tumekuwa tukimpigia Raila kura huko kwa sababu Lang'ata ilikuwa na cover sasa hizo area tulikuwa tunaishi. Ilikuwa na cover Kibra, na Nairobi West.
Uchaguzi wa rais na mbunge unakuwa ni the same time?
Same time,
yes,
yeah.
Everything was all
sasa
in one.
ukishinda urais wakati umekosa ubunge?
It has never happened.
No, I know.
It has never happened
in that system.
But technically, if it happens,
anajiteua kama mbunge?
No, if it happens, I don't even know. You know, like I don't even know. But it had never happened. It had never happened kwa mtu ameshinda urais na
because
na
I mean, the thing
bunge.
is unaweza ukalose sehemu unayogombea hata uraisi ukashinda sehemu nyingine zote.
Yes.
Ukalose sehemu unayogombea. This means usiwe mbunge. Will you be a president still? But anyway.
Yes, practically it's possible, but I don't think it. So those were some of the loopholes ambazo zilizokuwa, some of the weaknesses of the previous.
Kuna mtu anachocha Raila arudi Bondo.
Ndio hivyo sasa. Na unajua Raila hata kupata kuwa mbunge Bondo. Yeye amekuwa mbunge Nairobi.
Correct.
Yeye amekuwa mbunge Nairobi, Lang'ata constituency. Pale Kibra iko of course, but the new constitution wakasplit, ikawa Kibra iko kando sasa na Lang'ata iko kando, but Raila was never
and Lang'ata was split twice or three
no
times?
no Lang'ata because Lang'ata constituency, now the part that was split off of Kibra is ni hizi parts za Karen, the actual Lang'ata, Nairobi West, Madaraka and South Sea. South Sea is also in Lang'ata constituency. Unajua where Lang'ata constituency inaisha? Ile bridge ya Kongoni ukipanda kuelekea South B. Uko sasa uko Makadara. I don't know how Makadara was split because I believe was South B part of Embakasi or Makadara? It was one of those two. I cannot remember. Ilikuwa ni Makadara. Yes. Yeah, ilikuwa ni Makadara. In fact ulikuwa ukivuka tu hivi unaenda side nyingine uko Makadara. So Kongoni was actually in South Sea, so it was in Lang'ata constituency. Kongoni was the polling station that I used to go vote because si ilikuwa ni either Kongoni ama Madaraka primary. Sijui kama Stephen JJ alikuwa kwa Madaraka, ningempiga machobo pale.
Madaraka primary bana.
Ningempiga machobo pale nikimpata.
Madaraka primary used to jar. Ilikuwa na jana watu.
Yeah, so very interesting. Hapa namuona Yakobo Simba ameingia, anasema the 10 points are basic things used to hide the power of being given to Rao, saying we will fight corruption and give youths basic jobs, basic notions. Okay, I strongly believe there's gonna be a coup, and the coup will happen in parliament, and I think that's part of the reason Kina Wetangula were not. That's part of the reason why Kina Wetangula were not in this meeting. I think they might take that position. At a speaker, because on a pole they've started by taking the departments from the UDA, the Gachagua faction of UDA. They started taking them and giving them to ODM MPs. Wameanza kufanya kazi pole. I think Kina Wetangula next, and pia Mudavadi. So I think they need to start talking to Rigiji because yes, they need to start talking to Rigiji because those people were 100% dependent on Ruto for any little power that they may have had.
Alright, tutaangalia maoni yote, tutaangalia kwenye YouTube huko. Tabitha amejiunga, amesema tu wow, nasema wow na karibu sana. Stephen JJ anasema alikuwa ni fidelity to the party. And then some people, okay, tumezungumzia kuhusiana na Bondo, choosing a system that doesn't work for us. Slay anasema Oburu alikuwa wa Bondo at one point, na ilikuwa ni kabla ya comment tumesoma ya Yakobo. Alfa anasema I used to go to Kongoni the one time alivote akiwa minor au ameshafikisha
ndo alikuwa anaiba kura inaonekana.
Okay, yeah. We honestly need to go back to 8 provinces, get our resources together. We were divided even further in the name of devolution.
Hapo I'll politely disagree with Stephen JJ. Unajua, those of us who came from Nairobi, from this and this county surrounding Nairobi, you know, we're talking about counties in Central Province, you know, like counties where basically where the railway line passed, you know, like even including, I would say to a certain extent, even Mombasa. We used to live in a very different Kenya. And some very, very basic government services never used to reach other places. And this is including schools, healthcare. That's why I'm like, that idea of going back to those
water,
to those 8 provinces. You're telling someone, you know, like Mandera County had their first C-section in 2014. or 20, very, very, very recently. That is when they were able to get their first C-section.
What was that coming from? Was it from Garissa to Nini? You to take you
no, mwisho wa lami ilikuwa ni Isiolo. Hata Isiolo yenyewe ilikuwa ina nini? Ilikuwa ina lami. So ukienda zile sides za kule kama unaelekea kule ile school ilikuwa inaitwa Garbatula. Where there some people ilikuwa unaingia sasa hizi pickup ama unaingia hizi lori zinabeba mifugo. Yeah. That's how you would get there.
And it's sometimes a 3 day, right?
Yeah.
Depending on
it was an entirely different Kenya. So I think people need to be we need to diversify our mindset a bit to understand that there were, like when I was in changes, there are people who would come in January, they don't go home until November.
Yes.
Totally. Wanaka the whole year.
And then
holidays.
Funnily enough, they are accommodated and they stay and they eat during
holidays.
During holiday. Hawarudi.
Because kurudi holiday ni wiki 3. Wiki moja kusafiri kwenda. And then
mlikuwa mnaenda mbinguni. I mean,
it's the road pretty much. You might as well say that.
Let me tell you, bandio ukija Kenya ukianza kuelekea pandi za kaskazini
ile hela unaenda kutumia
different country.
And remember that time it's a national school, so watu they did well in their province. Wameletwa
9503. Huyo ni Yakobo. Hello.
Salama sana, mambo.
Salama. Karibu jitambulishe alafu tuende kazi.
And tell us where you're calling from too.
Of course. Thank you very much. My name is Yakobo Simba, as Bandio just said, and I'm calling from Philly, the city of the Super Bowl champions. I want to make my point very
people,
brief.
They never stop. Karibu.
What ni Asante. My point here is that these people have always played with us, and the point that I'm going to make is that this is a pact between friends who have decided to give someone a retirement send away. Like they're giving a rao, like, what, when mzee wetu tumefanya kazi na wewe sana, shukran sana, tutakupatia nguvu hizi za kipawa through NADCO na sijui nini, kisha uende nyumbani retire in peace. I think this is his last dance. Here's why I say this. My point that I made in the chat was that all these 10 things that they've listed here, they're more about creating power and opportunities for Raila and his camp than doing anything for Kenyans. If you think about it, inclusive government, hiyo si ni kusema kwamba sasa watu wa Raila wataingia pale. Protect and strengthen devolution. We already know that the constitution wants us to protect and strengthen the devolution. Economic investment in the youth, that's such a common sense thing. There's nothing new there. Uphold integrity of leadership, you just laugh at that because they've never upheld an integrity in leadership. Jews, people were being murdered and the police were not even held responsible. So you cannot say that now all of a sudden they're going to hold integrity in leadership. Safeguard the rights to assemble peacefully. That's common sense again. It's enshrined in the constitution with a very, very abysmal implementation. Audit national and reduce national debt. Come on. You're really going to list that as one of the big things that you're going to do. Another thing, fight corruption. That's laughable. Raise and manage resources responsibly. Again, laughable. Protect the sovereignty of the people. That's a da thing. Lafu number kwanza ni NADCO report. Now, the NADCO report is interesting because like Ali was saying a little earlier, unapata kwamba the biggest problem in that NADCO report ni the creation of offices, the PM office or the minority leader office. Kuna ofisi nyingi zinakuwa created. Goes back to my point about mzee anastaafu huyu, tumpe mambo yake na watu wake, aondoke in peace. No, so those are the biggest things that I wanted to highlight today. Asanteni sana kwa muda wenu.
Asante sana Yakobo. And one thing that I will fully agree with you, Yakobo, is that this thing, it was first of all very poorly written. I'm like, hata kama mnataka kudanganya watu na kuwahadaa, at least put in some effort, like the way they like fight corruption. I mean, what exactly is that? Stop abduction. Stop abductions. I mean, like, surely, like it's one of those things where you're like, is this the best that they could do? So they write in this very generalistic language whereby there will be no accountability at the end of it. But Jacobo, before you go, where I'll ask this question, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record again. we are all not happy. You know, like, we're not happy now. We don't even know the opposition is in government and the government is in opposition. But how do we politically mobilize from outside these major formations? You know, like, and even as we're approaching now towards the end of the show, like, kwanza kama sisi diaspora, what exactly are we supposed to do?
Or should we do?
Or should we be doing? Because it's 2025, 2027 is around the corner. You know, like, it's not that far. Jacobo.
Thank you very much. I think number one, we have to stop looking from the outside. We have to get involved. So I want to acknowledge and really appreciate the young people who've gotten into politics. Agina Morara, you know, you can disagree with the camp they're in, but they're inside. Akina Makure, now to come out. That is the way we need to go. Number two, us in the diaspora, we have to be active in our little circles. For example, what we're doing right now is very good because mimi wenye nimepiga simu, nyinyi ambao mmekuwa mkidadisi haya maneno ama kuyaongea all night is very good. Wanaosikiza hapa na kupitia YouTube, that's very good. We're engaging these conversations, but we're not engaging them through tribalistic lenses. Raila social. No, we critique everybody, and so that we're having informed information. Number three, wewe na mimi tunatumaga pesa nyumbani. Unaambia watu unatumiaga pesa, but the way kama hutaenda kuvote hii safari sikutumii tena. We have to use our power. You in diaspora, unatumiaga mtu school fees on the maze kama uende kuvote sikutumii tena. Kabla. We have to be proactive. Hatuwezi kuwa kwamba tunapiga kelele from outside all the time. So even amongst us, if there's someone who wants to go back home aende kuvai, tutamsupport.
Andrew Kimani anakwenda.
Andrew Kimani amesema na vice presidents.
Yeah. Omoshi mwache, hiyo ni different story. Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. And that's the point. We support that person. You know, we say, so OneMic is going to sponsor Kimani or whatever, Omosh. We say we're behind Omosh 100%. Zamsaidia magari nini na mafuta ya gari. So that's my point, Ali. Activism and getting into it. Tusiangalie from outside looking in. Thank you.
Okay, Jacobo, I will contact you. We need to start organizing, you know, like in whatever way we need to, in our own small way, you know, like haba na haba ujaza kibaba.
So angemtumia Jacobo kusamarazi. Samari yake imekuwa better kuliko hii ya MOU.
Gani hiyo summary
aliyozungumza hapa imekuwa tungeuza hiyo ingeleweka kuliko walichotuandikia hapa, but that's okay. Asante sana Jacobo.
Asante sana Jacobo.
Asante sana ndugu zangu.
Okay, hapa some comments were coming in on our YouTube. I think hapa Pan-African anasema right when they were drafting this to-do list, Ruto was going back to a widely broadcasted declaration regarding cash handouts by politicians in churches. And then Wairimbo anasema Raila was our Langata MP. The slum sprawl is attributed to him. Now, I know ikitu ya Raila, blaming Raila has been, you know, like a very interesting spot. But then, no, but then, apana, not Kibra. I don't think Warimo is talking about Kibra. There's a slum that popped up in Langata, Kijiji.
Yes.
Kijiji.
If you know, you know.
Yes. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
You know,
yeah,
and that's not Kibra.
Yes.
That's not Kibra. Kuna Kijiji.
Yes. Ile wagapale between Onyonka and Southlands.
That popped up there. So yeah, and that's just one big problem in Nairobi. Kuna, by the way, interestingly
and
enough,
it's not only in that area.
It's not only in that area.
Mukuru came after our time.
Nairobi. Yes, Nairobi.
New slums that came up later on.
Correct. Nairobi, close to 70% of the population lives in, and I know ni mambo tunafaa kuongea internally Kenya, tusikuje tukaanza kuchambwa na Watanzania when we go in those online wars.
Sija update nani status yangu for
Nairobi, believe it or not, is close to 70%. Close to 70% of the population lives in informal settlements. Meaning, by informal settlement, I mean places that do not have sanitation inside. Close to 70% of the population.
Wow.
So I know watu wakipiga hapa ma Instagram nini, I'm in Kilimani, I'm in sijui Kileleshwa, I'm in sijui Lavington. Just know that's the minority. That is the minority, and that's why Nairobi politics, our middle class hawezi kuielewa kabisa, because 70% of the population lives in those informal settlements, which is very
kampeni hapa. Nafikiri Sile ameshajitolea kuwa campaign manager wa Omosh. Anasema Omosh tosha. All right, kwenye Facebook hapo. Angie anasema these elite politicians will zungusha us until we become dizzy. At this point, we need to act like they do not exist.
Huyu ni Angie wetu ule Angie.
Huyu ni Angie.
The resilient Angie or Angie who's resilient.
Sure. Shazendola anasema Morara Kebaso.
But now you see, back to what Angie said.
Yes.
Kusema like we need to act like they don't exist is
you
what
can't do that.
Is what gets people to that fatigue of, oh, I'm not gonna go vote because it's not gonna make a difference.
Yeah.
Look at what has happened to America. The last election, 6 million people who voted for Joe Biden in 2020 sat out the 2024 election.
Labda amekufa ali.
6 million. Well, maybe, okay, let's even say 5 million. Maybe 1 million wamekufa. Let's say even 5 million.
In 4 years, what million is it?
Yes, so these are the things that, unfortunately, this is one of those things that you can't
and mind you, kulikuwa kuna wave kubwa ya youth ambao wameregister na wakavote Democrats. Kwa hiyo hao wasinge vote, ina maana
the gap might have been bigger.
Ingekuwa kwenye 12 maybe. Kwa sababu idadi ya teenage and 20s ambao waliingia was really high. Kwa hiyo unazungumzia 6 million ambao sat out, I think maybe it's 10. Kwa sababu walikuja wengine wakakava.
Like anyway, in the finding out moment now, wale watu wote, all the Latinos that voted for him, they are finding out the hard way.
All right.
But sasa, before we go,
yes.
Diaspora. I think this is a key, like we've had so many calls today.
Which is good.
Where do we go from here? Because tumekuwa, like we've been here, we've tried to do a few different things within our own capacity.
All right.
But what do we need to do different now approaching 2027, OmoshFaya? Because umekuwa, like umecheza kama...
Na ukumbuke Slay amesema kwamba unatosha. Kwa hiyo this is a campaign. Anza practice campaign hapa. Omosh anataka kugombea ile city ya Denzel. Twende.
Very, very funny. Based upon the political, what we see happening politically, the political landscape in Kenya, and Cecil tuko hapa in the diaspora, a lot of times the way we can, inject ourselves, I'll use Morara's language, has been with our financial might, as well as our ability to have influence in terms of speech, thought, sharing, sharing things. And in as much as we don't think it, our sisters and brothers at home who are on the ground, who are actively voting, maybe they're actually, participating in an election that we may not be able to get to, because if it's not presidential, we can't vote unless we go home. They actually listen to us. And we wield a lot more influence than we think. Because of our, I hate to call it financial might, but that's exactly what it is. So, and the fact that tuko hapa, even if you suggest, they say, ule jama yuko maju, they could be onto something. They could actually be onto something. And we really need to utilize that power that we have to inject ourselves in, the local politics we talk about locally here. We should make that local politics of Kenya our local politics as well. Because we straddle both worlds. If stuff is not happening there or breaking down, it affects us.
Absolutely.
If stuff is not happening here, it affects us. So we're caught not between a rock and a hard place, but between two cities. It's a tale of two cities. And we are the ones who are keeping both up. So we have to make sure that we set up the place on the ground to be what we want for ourselves and our grandkids and so on and so forth.
And as you talk about the tale of two cities, one thing that's hard to ignore, because sometimes there's conversations we have and people are like, just focus on your life here, wachana mambo ya back home. I always tell people, I'll go back to my specialty in personal finances. I'll go back to people and tell them, just go look at the app that you send money with. Tell them to send you a statement.
Apana.
No.
Siku hizi hata Sendwave unajua unafungua hivi tu uende tu kwa, what is it called? You go to your I think is it your profile or something.
Yeah.
Hapo inakuonyesha.
Yes.
That number is bad.
So you see,
no, that number
get
is
the
bad.
number, the number, not how much you spend monthly, but how much you spend annually, because that gives you.
I think it's
a full
me. I looked at
perspective.
the total since Sendwave came.
Yes.
Ali.
It's a lot of money. It's more than a down payment.
Ali, let me tell you.
On a home.
Ali, let me tell you, iyo do nimetuma.
Yeah.
I would have finished paying my mortgage.
Look at that.
And be happy.
And what does that tell you?
And when I say finished paying my mortgage, I'm saying what I've paid to date, then I add that.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't putting that towards my mortgage. So I've already spent out to my mortgage, right?
Yeah. What does that tell you? That tells you you are spending a big chunk of your income.
Yes.
For people that I've reviewed this with, I know Kenyans who are spending 20, 30, even up to 50% of the annual income going to Kenya. And where is this money going to? It's going towards education. It's going towards healthcare. It's going now towards basic living expenses. And you know why this money is going there? Because the government is not doing what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be providing education. They're supposed to be providing healthcare. They're supposed to be providing an affordable cost of living. So this money is going there. You could have been, way ahead of where you are currently, but because of constantly having to send this money back home, that's why you have to be concerned about who will take over power in 2027.
All right.
Bandio tukumbushe.
Wahenga walisema kila kilicho na mwanzo hakikosi kuwa na mwisho. Meli iliyong'oa nanga sasa imetia nanga.
Mbona ukumalizia? Mbona ukumalizia? Ama umefunga pia wewe?
Omosh. It was a really
okay,
good
I'll
show.
start, but Mikasi, it's okay, I can
Wewe
start.
si uanze.
Ai, Omera Mikasi bwana simi after Genene Ramadan. Asanteni wasikilizaji, wachangiaji, marafiki wetu, na pia wale watu wanasema ambayo wanasema Raila ni msaliti. He's not like Charles Njonjo. I don't think so. But anyway, I digress. Thank you as usual to our fans for sitting through 3 hours with us nonstop. And we've had a very lively conversation. I think actually we could have gone for another hour. Next week we'll be here as usual with another hot potato show. This one fell in our laps. We did not plan this. It was planned for us. And this is one of those things where, you don't have a choice, but you go with it. But we as a diaspora can make a difference. We have to start making sure that we go ahead and become part of the conversation on the ground and above ground, because we are the ones who are putting in our hard-earned cash and money. Just like Ali said, go check those apps. Me, I looked at one app and I use about 4. It's not funny. When I saw what I saw in that one app, in fact, I stopped. And that's not looking at, again, zile chama za sijui matanga, sijui zile WhatsApp. Anyway, see you guys next week. And enjoy your loved ones. I think weather could be in between this weekend, but it looks like we might be breaking through. I will see you.
All right, asante sana DJ
Mama kukwangu hata Francis.
Okay, Micah.
Tuone kazi Micah.
Hata Francis. Anyway, wapenzi wachangiaji, thank you very much. It has been a very engaging show. Yani mmetutoa timing, hata mmefanya hatujafuata program yetu, but we accept the phone calls. It was good that people called, people spoke, people gave their opinions. As we've always said, the people's kabukunji, happy hour. So when people come and join in and give us more insight on what they're thinking, we enjoy that. What I want to say is this. The way Kenyan politics are is, those people who work in tech know of something called ITIL. It's a work
It's a way companies are taught how to work, how to improve efficiency. And one ITIL foundation is usually that you don't fix a problem by trying to figure out a place, by changing everything at once. You start from where you are and you work outwards as you're fixing things. That's one thing that you're supposed to do as a country. Join these political parties and cleanse them from within. It's much easier than trying to form a new political party. You see politicians doing it is because they have the mechanism and the financials to do it. And they have the names to do it, which you don't have. So get in there and cleanse whatever it is that they have. The MAGA did it here. Brexit, when it happened in the UK, it was a small party that came in and infiltrated the mainstream parties and did what it's supposed to do. So we can do it also. If we want to make change, let's not just make change by saying we want to vote out people doing it now. Let's make change by making sure those people that you want to vote out don't even end up in the ballot in the first time. Anyway, so don't drink and drive, be safe. The weather is getting good, as Omosha said. Also, we should remain good. All those who are fasting, Saum Makbul. I wish you. Hii bado tunangoja kwanza zote mbili.
All right. Ali.
Okay, asante sana Micah. Now, winter, this cold has refused to go. I don't know if it's only in Maryland. Yani tuko karibu mid-March.
I think it's in your house. You may need to turn up the heat.
Lazima useme.
Kanjeve kago. Wewe ndio Omosho na mkanga saa 7 mchana.
Yeah, I know. Mtu akuamka saa 7 mchana atajuaje? Asubuhi kuko 20s. The temperature is still in the 20s. Yeah, unajua
kwa nini nyuongea hivyo vibaya? Nyuongea vibaya ni kama Mikasi unaongea?
Yeah, hajui hata vile dunia inakaa at 6 a.m. in the morning.
Anasema sunrise ndio limetoka liko katikati. Hajawahi kuliona.
Sunrise yake iko hapa. Jua iko hapa. Hiyo ndo sunrise ya Omosh. But anyway, you know, like hopefully I think next week
I don't leave the house, so
yeah, so that's why, so
I don't leave the house, but
I
that
think
doesn't mean I don't feel the cold. But our bills have been
bigger 70s
ungodly high.
Yes.
And the those companies are telling us some very funny things at CG because of this CG that but they've increased.
Yeah, I know. You know, like hata pia mimi at some point I was like, hey, should I call them and I try to get a payment plan negotiation nini, because hizo bills I say si mchezo. But I think it's gonna start. Yeah, I know. Zile nyumba ziko na firehouse. Actually, I have a firehouse in my a fire. What is it called? Fireplace. Yeah, the firehouse. Yeah, fireplace.
Sawa tu. Kuna mwingine anasema Suku Star. So
alisema Suku Stars badala ya Suku Party. Mika huyu hapo. But anyway, you know, I want to thank everyone who called. Man, I think today was a record in the number of callers. Tumepata callers wengi mpaka hata nime lose count.
No,
ilikuwa zaidi ya 6. Yeah, so I think this is a record on the number of callers, especially for a show that doesn't have a guest. Hakuna ati politician amekuja. Ni sisi tu wenyewe kwa wenyewe tunachambua mambo.
It's just as the regular people.
Yes, because part of what we try to do is to get in between those lines and get to give you value that's not there. Because, you know, the mainstream media will go to the spectacular stuff that was announced, but this in between the lines, I believe this is what has value and has the ability to get people to take action. One thing that I like about today's show, you know, over time I've been becoming a very good listener, and one thing that imesemwa leo kwa show, and Micah is the one who brought it up, is because unajua kumekuwa na hiyo idea, these parties are all stale, let's go form new parties and start from the ground up. And this system of starting new parties, it has been tried, and it has failed. So now I'm looking differently at this idea of infiltrating parties. Mnaingia pale kama mamluki, Artur Margarian na Artur Sargasian.
Mnaingia pale Browns kwa yuko safi akipata Brownies.
Yes, mnaingia hapo tena mnakuja mkiwa wengi. Mnaingia, unakumbuka ile ngoma ya kina Jua Kali, kina Mahatma ilikuwa inasema labda wageni mtu 7. Mnaingia hapo mtu 7. mnaingia hapo mtu wengi magroup za mtu 7 mnaingia. By the time they realize what's happening, wanaangalia registration ilikuwa slow, maybe they were getting only 2 registrations a day, then wanashangaa siku moja inaanza 200 people wameingia pale in a day, the following day 400 people. Before atafakari, you're already controlling everything in the party. Katika voting mnaweza kuingia mkavote, mweke viongozi wenyu pale, and I think that might be an idea to think about. So in as much as watu walimshambulia Samuel Makure, I think he has a strategy, and Morara alikuwa amekuja na strategy, let me create my party, na alikuwa amesema I'm just gonna go my own direction, but now you see he's now warming up to Martha Karua's party, he's warming up to Rigathi Gachagua, he's warming up to those people, and now he's talking differently about them. So I think we have to try all these things because we are looking to save our country. And now in the diaspora also looking to save our pockets, bana. Hiyo mambo ya 30% of your annual income is going towards remittances.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah.
That is a serious black tax. I don't think even black Americans pay that kind of 30% of your income.
How does it have to be black?
Because that's what it's called. We call it white tax.
White tax. Yeah.
White tax. Okay, sawa. We can call it white tax, but whatever it is, it's a tax, and this is on money that has already been taxed. You know, that's the most painful part. It's on money that's already been taxed, and it's solving problems that can very easily be solved with good leadership. I also like the idea of talking to the people you send money to, and don't talk to them a week before elections. You have to be talking to them consistently.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't be afraid, because they're happy to receive your money. And like Omosh said, we underestimate ourselves in what we think our influence can be. And it can be just be a friendly conversation. Si lazima ati kwe ni serious conversation, lazima ufanye hivi na hivi na hivi. Yeah, it's like ile time watu wanaenda kuanza kuregister kuvote, registration ikifunguka, unamuuliza, by the way, na wewe umenini, just a friendly casual conversation.
I ask all the time, are you registered? Do you have an ID?
Yeah.
Nini. You know, even ask, okay, do you need assistance so you can go nini?
Because
actually,
if you go 1 week before, anakwambia hana ID, na hiyo story imekwisha. It's ending right there. Na kwa hayo machache, yote ambaye anataka kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1-800 mteule. Operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu, na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule wa Masai, because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
All right, asante sana. Comment mbili hapa. Wairimu anasema good show, have a great week friends, thank you very much. Andrew Kimani anasema MKGA, mnajua hiyo ni nini? Whatever that is. Sharpshooters Entertainment Media Anchor anasema yes, very generalistic, but sadly Raila signed it off. So Ruto gets hold of Raila for nothing structural or foundational. To OneMic, shukran sana kwa kunitrust na hiki kiti. I hope akijashuka. Well, of course I have the numbers. Kuna watu wamepiga simu and they don't, wameweka sura yako hapa. Na wasikilizaji wote, wale ambao sasa hivi wote naamini mko kwenye namna fulani ya mfungo. So shukrani kwa kuendelea kupata nafasi pamoja na sisi kwenye chat pale. Shukrani sana kwa kushiriki katika hii. This is why we're here. Unajua, wengine tuko hapa for like 5-6 hours just to make sure vitu vinakwenda vile mnataka, kuona kwamba nyinyi mmeweza ku participate. Hiyo ni jambo zuri. Na kwa hayo machache, kwa niaba ya wote nasema mkawe na wiki njema, mkawe na mfungo mwema, ukawe mwema kwako na kwa watu wengine. Naitwa Mobelo, tuinamu kama Simon Kulinda Peter Bandio, mwana baba Paulina. Kwenye Rust na Rego nanita Rust Twin. Rasi ya marasta ni ya Real African Soldiers, na Twin si ya mapacha japo wanifuatao mimi ni mapacha. Hadi wakati mwingine nakwambia jitunze, jali na wajali wengine. Bye bye.
mapenzi ya